All right, spring 48. Meepstir.
Yeah, let me just pull up my map real quick.
Yep.
Yeah, so here, I'm trying to get into Chengdu, but I mean, I guess technically there was a move set here that could have gotten into me into Chengdu, but I don't think Peking was probably worth that. Um, Definitely in kind of the slumps of it. I definitely would have loved to have another army here. If I could have kept Shaanxi on the board, that gives me a lot more options. But I have what I have. So we're kind of in a really difficult position. And then like this is probably like after this turn was probably like the low point of the game. Like I'm effed. Um, like you can see over on the left side in the west, Safavids get absolutely blown up. Both Turfan and Uyghur actually are forced to disband here. So even though Safavids like on paper are doing very well numbers wise, in the east they now have one unit blocking that corridor. And they'll be able to rebuild them, but they can only move so fast. So this is kind of really worrying because I'm not going to be able to get any pressure anytime soon for like maybe a tap on Zining or Rinpengpa if there's an opening on Chengdu. Um, it's nice to see the Ayu move finally deciding to go in to Bamo. But again, they're also supporting uh, Chengdu. So like even at this stage, they're very much not wanting me to like get anything off of this. And then we can see that this convoy is happening between Aomori and Pyongyang. And for me, like I see this and I am just I like with the Yakutsk move earlier, like with the Yakutsk stuff and the Chichihar, like I was definitely thinking, okay, what is the possible reason of of him convoying into Pyongyang? And like I kind of went there and I was like, I went to talk to Ayu, I think, for the first time in a while. And he's like, "Do you think you're getting eaten?" And I'm like, I really can't see another reason for this convoy happening. And so actually, like during this turn, me and Ayu start discussing, and I'm basically like, look, I'm probably gonna get dotted here um by Japan. Is there any way you can like support me into Chengdu and um and we can make something work and we can do something. And basically it's like he seems kind of okay with the idea, but he starts nickel and diming me and being like, well, I don't actually know if I want to support you into Chengdu. Like, well, like, maybe eventually he gets to this place where he's like, what if you support me into Chengdu? Um, and like, I didn't love this, but he basically said that, okay, you're going to get dotted for Hanyang here. So you're going to go down. Um, and that's going to let you take a unit off the board. But then next year, when I'm already in Chengdu, I'll use it to orient myself west. Uh, and then I'll let you have Chengdu. You can put down a fleet, and that helps me against Japan. So if you're like getting attacked by Japan, at least like you can put in some stuff for me. It helps me out. We can do that. And kind of, I'm like, I don't feel at the start of the like phase after this move set. That's a terrible idea. I feel like I probably don't have any goodwill left on, or not goodwill, but I may have outlived my usefulness with Toku. And if Ayu has something, then maybe a switch is what will allow me to scrape a few more years out of this. And I'm kind of really worried. But I'll talk about more what happened once we get to fall. Um, yeah.
All right. Yeah. I already talked about that convoy here. Again, slight in the back of my mind. I like the option, but it's mainly if he walks into Shengjing to force it out, and then I can cover Haishan Y. And I just felt like it was a better spot to have my fleet in Haishan Y for whatever reason. Honestly, looking back, it might have been better the other way around, but whatever. Here, I just hold because I'm worried. We got Mughals and Russia who are allies both next to me, and then I got Inuit who I'm fighting right there. So I was sitting in this position, like kind of worried that like he can walk in there, they could do a triple attack on Chichahar. Yeah, not much to do other than just sit there and wait. Against Inuit, I'm still just setting up my attack to kill this entire area at on the fall. I move into Vanki with the cut here, so that goes through. I think if he held with Aldan, I still have Shantar Bay there, so I can put 3 on it the next or even if I can do a double supported attack into Vanki while cutting Karex. I move Koryaks into Itelman so I can have 2 on Karex for the fall, and then I promise Ute I will support him into Chukchis in fall, so that support also gets cut, and I get him to bounce Chuck GC. Or I ask him to bounce it. I think this was on me, because he was just gonna hang out here and do nothing or something, but I wanted to keep that out, so that couldn't get support. I go to Italman instead of Aliuters because I want to be friendly with Ute, and I don't want to have any like units in more militarized positions than they need to be, so I decide to go the more friendly way. Ocean, I take 2 ocean spots like our deal says. We're only supposed to have 2 in the ocean. He keeps the same deal. Down here, Spain fucks up. Spain doesn't do anything with Cebu, even though they could have just supported held Zamboanga and that would have kept the dot, but I actually get in here due to a misorder. And I also get into South China Sea here, which IU is not happy with me about because I lied to them about where I was going with this. I can't remember what exactly I said. I probably said I was gonna pull it out or like go down or something. But at this point in time, I remember because I just stabbed IU twice, I was like, IU and Spain are almost certainly going to work together here. And if they're working together, they have like a bunch of little tricky moves they can do to like stop me and halt me from making any progress. Like if I were to go Manila support to Cebu, he could tap Manila, or he could, what is it? If I go like Cebu or no, Manila to Cebu or something, Spain could support him into Manila. There's just a bunch of weird little moves that doesn't give me a guarantee, and I wanted to go for the position just to make sure I could fully collapse the Philippines, and I would need to get into South China Sea and then shift into like Palawan and Mindaro to put max pressure on Cebu. But because Ute gets in here right away, Spain's position is pretty much instantly cracked. And I have a position where I have the jump on IU, and I don't really need to take out Spain anymore. So, oh yeah,
the fleet's destroyed it too. Like he can't even do the thing where he just keeps the unit around forever.
Yeah, it's it's popped. This time the moves turned over like early in the morning, and I remember I immediately went to IU to like apologize for this move, and I was like this isn't a move against you. I'm immediately gonna go to Palawan and get that unit out of there. I guess I should talk about this for the fall because it matters. But for spring, I initially tell him I'm gonna go to Palawan with that unit that's now in South China Sea, but I end up doing something different. Bandasi, I move up to Halma Heresy because if Cotabato goes to Sulu Sea, then they would be able to take. He could support Cebu down to Zamboanga to kick Ute out. So I move up Bandasi so I can cut Sulu Sea in the fall. This is like kind of stupidly selfless of me, but it's also not because like my whole goal here is just to break this position and then move through, and I want to make sure I break it fully. So like using my own unit just to make sure Ute gets this dot, and I want to keep him very happy too. So like say if he gets in and then immediately booted out, that gives me I feel like it's more likely he'll start attacking me if he doesn't see any possible gains down here. But because he gets in and I'm going to guarantee he stays in, that keeps him less likely to fuck with me. And again, I'm also offering him Chukchis, so I'm offering him 2 dots this turn to not mess with me. And I'm also asking him to go down against Mapuche now. because Mapuche, like I said, had just been attacked by Guarani. He's getting kind of weak, and say, because originally we did have a big alliance, like a big Pacific Ring alliance against all the colonials, and Mapuche was in that, and I always had the option in my mind, like maybe I work with Mapuche and he's my ally in this region and we split everything up. But because he's doing so poorly, like I don't think he's ever going to be able to get to VSCC. And the dots that he would need would be like around Indonesia and stuff like that. So if me, Ute, Ayutthaya, and Mapuche all need like the 15 dots in here, that's just not going to be a reasonable thing. So I decided like we really need to cut Mapuche out. I asked Ute to go down and started getting in position to like get convoys off on him and stuff. And at the same time, Aymara is also like offering him help into this area. So he's getting like a very like good opportunity to get a foothold in South America. Athapaska is really advising him against trying to work with me here, and like he thinks it extends Ute too much and like leaves him too vulnerable from a stab from me. And he obviously wants like to get his armies into Siberia up here and stuff. So he's trying to convince him to not go for this. Mapuche actually, Mapuche, Ute, and I have a triple alliance chat that we talked in. And Mapuche asked me and Ute both to come down to SPO to help him against Portugal and Guarani. Or against maybe not Portugal at this point, but I remember he wanted us to like send a fleet or two down into SPO and then like send it over here to start messing with Guarani and Portugal. And I remember I used that opportunity to be like, yo, you can get like a fleet in against Mapuche and he's not even going to be angry with you. Like that's just a perfect opportunity here. So that one I'm very happy about. Obviously, you going a different direction than me in like 3 different areas is exactly what I want to see, since he's the only person who poses a threat to me, like that could actually make me lose. Pretty much everyone else around me is way too weak to ever launch an attack on me, other than you. Pouring
He's
up
on the
Hawaii.
verge of committing too.
What was that?
Like he's on the verge of committing too. Like once he actually has dots in these places,
Yeah,
you know, it becomes awful for him to turn around and attack you instead.
Exactly. That's a massive reason why I wanted him to get Zambo, because then he's and Chukchis, because then he's kind of like locked into working with me, where I'm gonna take these dots away from him if he ever does try to work against me, and it gives him like reason, like I'm gonna continue helping you get dots in these areas, and I'll help you like with fleets in SPO and stuff if Mapuche ever comes to attack. Core on Hawaii, I don't think I actually mentioned that I didn't like this, but I remember I just didn't like having an extra core on the fucking Pacific. But not a huge deal there.
It makes a lot of sense though. Like Galapagos would be better for South America, but unfortunately that fleet's needed.
I don't hate it too much, as long as he's not messing with me. The main thing is to get him really committed against Mapuche, because right here, like, he's still not 100% in, and I want him,
you need like one more turn. You need him to like take something.
Yeah,
take Chiloy or something.
Exactly. But yeah, that's pretty much the big picture I got here. The other thing that you were talking about, where Safavid got blown up here, this was a big shift in like my idea of how far I could expand in Asia. Because throughout this whole game, like Safavid has been sitting in the #1 spot, and like by a decent bit too. Like 4 isn't huge, but they're still the same amount away from me and Sweden from the victory percent. But like just how compact this position was up until that point, I remember thinking like there's no way Safavid's ever gonna lose this game. They're like never gonna lose this front, and they're gonna continue pushing west for like the whole game. So I remember thinking like there's no point in me ever trying to expand in this area, because by the time I get anything down here, Safavid is just gonna blow through everything. By the time I get anything up to Russia, like Safavid will probably have everything up to like Karakorum and Bratsk. So I was thinking like the furthest I could probably push is like Ikkuri, and then everything from that point is just holding down this area to make sure I hold it until the end of the game. Long term, I wanted Ute to come up through Chukchis, Boyer, and then park a fleet in Yakutsk, which would leave me, if I can get armies in Amur, Chichahar, and Shenjing, leaves me a line, and if I can get Inuit to disband the armies that are behind my line, I pretty much have a solid line here that no armies can get behind, as long as Athapaska doesn't start convoying over here, and then I can push out, get to Ikkari, and pretty much be unconquerable on the land. So that was kind of the goal there. When Safavid gets this happen to him, I remember like my whole opinion flipped, and I thought he was like pretty cooked, or they were pretty cooked, and like they weren't even going to be able to make it to they weren't even going to be able to get to the win anymore, because like you have to see the position a little after, but like Meepstir said, they just had way too few armies to defend against like this massive attack from Russia and Mughals. And then Ottomans is also messing with them, Portugal's messing with them down here. So it just totally flipped their position around and gave me like a different kind of perspective on how this area is going to play out long term, now that I don't think there's this inevitable Safavid push that's just going to roll up everything in this area. Yeah. And I think that's pretty good for me. Tasnica?
All right, so Polish Europe. One thing I didn't mention last winter is that Sweden actually made pretty favorable builds. He built 3 builds in the west, and that was because I made a deal with Sweden. Sweden put 3 favorable builds in the west, and I made a deal with him. I blew up my second fleet. Not that it was doing much at that point, anyway. And that was why I had 2 builds. And basically the deal was that, hey, just peace out with me. You're fighting Austria already. England and France are in a death war. Go take advantage of that. Push west. Leave me alone. There's no point in grinding endlessly against me. All like 1 fleet in like Königsberg. You know, it's not a threat to you. All I want is Wilno back and you leaving me alone. Sweden agrees to all of this and then immediately stabs me. Again, this is like the 5th or 6th time this game. But you got to try. Especially when your other alternatives suck. So, still fighting Sweden. Not looking great. I do have 4. I do have 4 units on Wilno. So that's promising at least. Because that's the thing, that's part of my pitch is that, hey, you do realize that attacking me further is going to be a huge grind, right? Like even if I don't build in Europe, I've still got a pretty defensible position. But Sweden doesn't care. He is fixated on Poland killing. One of several players in the game with said fixation. We'll see if it goes well for him or not. In the south, things are looking better. I get into 2 more Ottoman dots. And Austria is pushing her hard as well. You'll note that Austria is also starting to put cores down on the Med, which I love to see. I very much want him building fleets in the south and trying to push into the Med, because I want Austria to have 32 that is pointed southwestward. I don't want him fighting with me over too many of the Ottoman dots. And I obviously don't want him fighting me over my dots. And he's never getting into the Baltic. So that is a direction for him to go in. And also a pretty, with everyone fighting each other down there, the Colonials being a huge mess continually. It's pretty promising for him too. So I'm happy with how things are going with Austria.
Yeah, all 3 of the neighbors around the Med are all pretty weak.
Yeah, so, and I also, I'm also coming out of a game, the Ice Cream Invitational with both of you guys, where an Austria-Poland alliance did very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he expanded down into this area and then down into North Africa too.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping this Austria will move in a similar direction. Speaking of Africa, I was correct that Portugal is not going to be leaving me alone for long. He's putting down cores in my face and sending 3 fleets southward. Fortunately, I decide to be proactive here and work with England to launch an attack at the same time. So I tap both units, so those cores do not get off. And I arrange with England and Abyssinia to dislodge me out of Timbuktu. My idea here is, firstly, Portugal is telling me that he's not going to finish the core, that he is going to send the army north. Either he's lying and is going to finish the core, or he's telling the truth and he's walking out of Uulata. Either way, I want to be tapping Uulata. But if he stays, I have no way of getting Uulata in the fall. So I ask my buddies here to dislodge me. I retreat to Machina, and then they can support me into Uulata in the fall. Basically, and England gets Timbuktu in exchange for this.
Yeah.
So not often that you ask other players to dislodge you out of your own centers, but it's a bold strategy. We'll see if it pays off for me. Similarly, I put 2 on Ndakaru. Portugal does have a fleet next to it now, but there's going to be some guessing involved because, well, England also has a fleet nearby. Over in the Caribbean, Spain bounces me out of Caribbean Sea. I move to an Orinoco just to make sure that he can't move there. Or more particularly, I was worried that Bogota could get dislodged, which would normally be a good thing. But if he retreats to Orinoco, that's not great for me. So I want that spot covered. I take St. Domingo, which is great. There are the beginnings of strife between me and England here. England has been an ally for a while now. Arguably one of my stronger allies at the moment. But he's been difficult to coordinate with. He does this thing where he exclusively does all of his planning in the final hours before deadline, and basically hardly responds to any press before that. So not only do I have to talk to him at very specific times in order to coordinate stuff, but he's also trying to work with both me and Spain. And Spain demands that he move into Windward Passage here in exchange for working together against Oud. I am obviously not happy about this. Not only do I not want England in Windward Passage, just because it's next to my stuff, but also, if he's not in Jamaica, then he can't safely tap Bay of Panama in the fall without risking losing Jamaica. So it just worsens his position with Spain, makes England unhelpful, and I am not pleased about it. But I get St. Domingo, so something's going my way.
All right, fall moves 1648.
Game didn't go that long.
Oh man. So this is called the first miracle of the House of Meepstir right here. This is just gorgeous. This is probably turning into moves. This phase was one of the greatest feelings I've ever had in diplomacy. I completely predicted that Mughals were going to go for this. And then my kind of hope was that Ayu was only going to throw one unit on Chengdu because I had promised him in press that I would be supporting him into Chengdu. So, yeah, as I was saying earlier, when Canadian convoyed that army into Pyongyang, I was really worried that he was going to dot me on it. And so I went to Ezio. and I made a deal with him, and I was definitely trying to get him to support me into Chengdu in exchange for being for helping him out. And then Ezio was very reluctant to do that, and eventually convinced me to support him into Chengdu, which I actually agreed to, and I was planning on doing it in the very first hours of the phase, I think. But then I had a talk with the Canadian, and he explained the tactical position. And honestly, I kind of thought that he probably would have tried to like give me a reason to convoy into Pyongyang before he did it if he was going to stab me. And instead, it just kind of felt like, oh, I've been a vassal so long that he's not even really thinking of me as food anymore or all that much. And he doesn't really feel the need to like convince me. He's just kind of walking around, which wasn't something I wanted to dissuade, but I definitely talked to him. And I ended up doing this. It works out. I get into Chengdu. And I'm very confused by the Kunming move. Because on one hand, I mean, it's a classic misorder. He just forgot to put it into Chengdu, forgot to support Hongguang into Chengdu. But I'm not entirely sure if it is. It seems like a very silly misorder to make. I don't know if you guys agree, but usually when you're like sending in orders, you just copy. Like you'll say, okay, I send Hu Guang into Chengdu, and then you just copy that order and you put like Kunming support at the start.
Yep,
So it
I do that
feels,
every time.
yeah, and I don't see why you ever wouldn't, because it's just way easier and you don't risk things like this. So I am kind of wondering if this is intentional, if he was like wanting to make sure for whatever reason that I was supporting him, that he would be able to get in, or like I have no idea really.
Well,
But
like, what's the logic? Like, let's say you don't support him. Why would him not supporting himself be the play?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it would be if I wasn't supporting him, then he doesn't really then he doesn't want to piss off Mughals enough. That it's completely like
But
out of the question.
we got this
He's
move
moving.
here,
True.
He's moving into Bhutan
Yeah.
and Bama.
Mm,
Like,
yeah.
if I was IU and I didn't trust you, I would definitely support it because like either I get in or I bounce you out and then get in during next year.
Yeah. I think I just don't want my recovery in this game to be due to a misorder. Is entirely the reason.
Yeah,
Uh,
fair enough.
so I'm gonna continue believing that there was a secret reason that SEO didn't share with me that this happened
Hey,
because I don't
but
think yeah.
putting in your orders correct is part of being a good player, in my opinion.
True enough. But yeah, I get in. I think Ezio is like, I think he sends me a message saying like, well, if I knew you were gonna not get stabbed, I would have supported you. Um, but I don't really believe that. And then I don't think we talk anytime in this game after this. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, for me, quite a bit going on here. One thing I did want to mention that I forgot to talk about was I didn't just go to Helma Heresy as my first option. My first want was actually to go into Flores because I had that deal with Mapuche from way back where I helped him out against the Dutch and he was going to agree to put me in Flores. And by the time we actually had like a good move set to put me in there, he refused to do it at that point. He's like, no, I need the dots and stuff because Garani was attacking me over here and stuff, and he wouldn't put me in. And at that point, I was already trying to get Ute to stab him and stuff, so I wasn't like super salty at it. Like I was gonna try and get him stabbed anyway. But this was actually like my second option. I wanted to get in Flores with that fleet. For here, I'm able to walk straight into Luzon because I wanted to talk. I talked a bit about it, but at the beginning of the last phase, I told Ezio I was going into Palawan with the South China fleet, and I was going to get out of his hair. And I figured he was going to cover Luzon straight with Bay of Tonkin the whole time. But I didn't want him to think, like, I wanted to get this move in here without him bouncing. And I figured the way I would do that was I would wait until the last day when like you don't have too many hours to think about it, and I ended up telling him like, hey, I'm gonna move South China Sea back to Luzon instead. So then he looks at it and he's like, well, shit, I can't use Bay of Tonkin to bounce at Luzon, or else he's gonna stay in South China Sea. So I think I don't know if he actually changed this move at the last hour or not, but that was like something I tried to do, and I was able to get into Luzon straight there. Um, I walk straight into Fan Rang here, which is pretty nice. Like he just does.
Whoops.
What?
Oh, whoops on Ezio's part.
Yeah. I think because I told him, we were talking about it or something, and I'm just like, yo, cover Fan Rang if you're worried I'm gonna walk in there. Like I'm going to Palawan the whole time, and then I change it to Luzon straight at the last minute. So I feel like he just wasn't expecting me to actually gun for it. But yeah, um, nice on there. I also forgot to talk. He really wanted to walk into Hokkien and Spring, but I bounced him out with Formosa, so like I could get into this I could get into this position for fall without having him risk walking into Formosa or putting pressure on Nanking. And he was getting mad. He was mad at me because he was saying like I'm slowing down his progress against Ming and Mughals up here. Spain, I just go for the attack on. This is guaranteed. Cover Edo and stuff because Ute has 2 fleets here and that army, and he hasn't fully committed into Mapuche yet, but he does this turn. This was he really didn't want to do this move here to into Klo. I had to and Ambrosius and Garani. He talked to me about like half an hour before this move went through. Uh, I set this up with you like throughout the whole phase, like trying to get him to go on to Mapuche. And then Garani came to me about half an hour before and he said Ute was telling him like he's really uncomfortable about this and doesn't want to do it. And I went and talked to Ute and he was saying like Athapaska doesn't really want him to do this and he doesn't feel like it's a good stab and he wants to wait and stuff. But I convinced him. I was saying like, man, please don't change it up on me on the last minute. Like we gotta go for Mapuche if we're gonna win this game together. Like you got the position, like he let you into SPO without being suspicious. Like if you wait any longer, you're gonna lose your opportunity to stab him. You can follow up and stuff. And he told me like he really regretted it and stuff, but he was gonna do it anyway. Which I was like, oh, thank you, man. Like I'm so glad you're reliable and stuff. So I was very happy about to finally, and he moves. I guess he backfills here, so he still has 2 fleets in NPO, but he's like moving more fleets down into Mapuche. He convoys the army that I was a little worried about into Aymara. So this is like a really good setup for me. I support him into Chukchas up here. I also cut his Spain's support here, so he keeps Zambo. So this really locks in like the Ute and my alliance for the rest of the game, I feel. Against Inuit, this is like a guaranteed move set. I can get everything here. I take Nivix with support. Use this to I use Italman to support Alkotsk into Karex while Ute cuts Chukchis and I support him in. Inuit has no counter to that. Bumble in Russia comes to me about originally I can't remember what I think I was just support using Kikahar to support Pyongyang up to Shenzhen. But he comes to me like 5 minutes before the phase ends, and he's like, "Yo, I'm going Karakoram to Ikkari, but I don't actually want to go in there. So if you want to bounce me out, like, go for it." And I thought like very quickly, like, "Oh shit, what's he trying to set me up for?" But I feel like there was nothing he could actually hit on me, if I do this move. So I switched it last 5 minutes. But I didn't tell him I was gonna do it because I didn't want to like leak any info and like him pull like some weird move I didn't see. And then right after, he's like, "Oh, you were gonna stab me for it, Korea. I'm glad I walked in there anyway." And I had to be like, "No, I only did it because you told me, but I didn't want to say." So I don't know if he bought that or not. But yeah, overall, we're like really good turn for me here. I think I go +4 and take first place.
Okay, just imagine if Bumble had walked into Yakutsk, and it would have lost the entirety of Asia in one turn.
Yeah, pretty bad. The position was collapsing here the whole time, though. Anyway, it was just a matter of time. Anyway, Tasnica.
All right, so Polish Europe. So there were several occasions in this game where I was extremely wary of Austria and not particularly wanting to help him out or do him any favors. And this turn is a perfect example of why. So me and Austria have been working together for several turns against both Sweden and Ottoman. And we've been pretty successful on both fronts. As you can see, I'm taking Targoviste this turn. I'm taking Bakhchisarai. Austria is taking Sarajevo and sending more units in. Against Sweden, I'm taking Wono back. And Austria's been putting pressure on north of Germany, Bremen, and those centers. And I've been successfully holding off the Swedish naval invasion. But Austria decides that it would be an incredibly good idea to support a Swedish convoy into Gdansk. Now, in the short term, he's getting Bremen out of this. But first of all, if he just made this deal with Sweden and stabbed, he would have gotten Bremen anyway. Especially if Brandenburg had just tapped Lübeck in case he was worried about that doing a support hold or something. But instead, he really pisses me off. He destroys my last fleet. He gets a Swedish army, or another Swedish army, on the continent. And all for a dot he probably could have gotten anyway. So we'll see if he and Sweden become super good allies that never causes them any trouble in the future. And maybe this will prove to be a good decision. But I am extremely unhappy with Austria over this. And despite the fact that I still need his help against Ottoman, I am absolutely going to be remembering that this is the sort of ally that he is. Meanwhile, West Africa, my alliance with England is going much better. I get supported into Ulata. So as agreed in the spring, England gets Timbuktu, but I get another dot off Portugal to replace it. And with England's help, I also get back into Endikaru. So I am back to where I was when Portugal initially stabbed me. I believe I had St. Louis at the time instead of Ulata. But basically, I've recovered the position in West Africa.
Nice.
In the Caribbean, also working with England, I get supported into Barbados by England. This is just to make sure that I can build a new Courland, which again is my only core in the area. I also get both of the Hispaniola centers, Cap-Haitian and St. Domingo. I even begin coring Cap-Haitian, which is very nice. Having a second core in the Caribbean would be huge.
On a fall turn, too.
Yes, exactly. England, as I predicted, walks right back into Jamaica again, as opposed to doing anything helpful against Spain. But things are awkward in that regard anyway, because he's working with Spain against Ute. Spain, meanwhile, decides that he would like to continue dedicating his game to trolling me, and supports himself into Caribbean Sea. So while he's also losing Bogota, not just losing, I believe the army is also forced disbanded. So yeah, yeah.
No, I was just going to mention you also core Orinoco here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is just a visual thing. The core
okay.
I actually care about is Cap-Haitian, but I throw down cores on all the units I'm holding just to draw less attention to that specific spot.
Ah, smart.
Oh, that's actually okay. Smart.
Yeah.
It ends up not mattering a whole ton because both England and France are no longer next to Cap-Haitian. So if either of them were getting paranoid about me doing stuff there, they can't actually stop it. Now, Spain is next to it, but again, he's dedicated his game to trolling me either way. So he is sure to do the most annoying thing possible if he does not disband Caribbean Sea. Because again, he has disbands. He is losing ground all over the place. There are lots of things he could be doing to help his game. But I did have an argument with him in year one, and I did not do the things that he wanted me to. So we will see what's going to be the priority moving forward.
All right. Winter.
Yeah, let's do it.
Winter builds 48.
Oh my. If you can look at that, you see that on Nanking, that's a Meepstir build. That's me building. This is something that probably after I lost Chengdu, I never thought I'd see on this map again. I definitely thought it was over. I thought I would never recover, but we did recover. We're back up to 4 units, and that is more than 3. Some people might note. Unfortunately, there's still a unit in Hahot, and Russia's coming, and there's a trillion IU dots, but we also have that Japanese build in Formosa, I'm sure we'll hear more about. And also we start getting the very fun Kyushu builds, which I know aren't coming for me, but still cause my heart to palpitate every time I see them. Yeah, not much to speak on here, just very, very nice to see after all this time of losing.
Yeah. For me, I'll talk about this first. Again, I try to get Spain to disband both of these fleets because he has, or does he only have one disband? No, yeah, he does have a second one here, and he does Nazca Ridge instead, which I guess like kind of that one's also a troll unit, so it's whoever. But I wanted him to disband both, and he only did one. Formosa, yeah, build here. I believe I can't remember at what point in the phase, but eventually Mughals, Ming, and I all begin talking about coalitioning IU. I think it might be like immediately because Iolus did not like this Bhutan move here, and I think he came to us and he was like, "Yo, let's all coalition IU." And he gave some set where like he was gonna, I can't remember which one, but he wanted us to attack here, and I was fine with that. And then he was gonna pull everything back this way and start attacking him here, and he was gonna work with you to do so. I can't
I
remember
think
what.
he was bringing Hahot into Lanzhou. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and they
forgot that this
trade,
was yeah,
right?
I forgot that this was this phase, but yeah, he basically during this phase after Ezio finally goes on the offensive and takes some dots, I send a or yeah, he basically comes back and says I waited way too long to do this. Let's finally work together. Um, and genuinely, I thought we were going to work together till the end of the game. When we did it, I was very excited to just kill Ezio together. But yeah,
Yeah. Elsewhere, I have 4 builds here. So Ito is filled, and I don't like. Again, I think no, he does not core here. Yeah, I remember there was like some weird, stupid convoy I remember seeing possible. What was it? I think it was like Exura back to Ito or so. It was something that was like not gonna happen, but I still kept it on my radar that he could still attack Ito. So I was planning to keep these, I think, in place, just supporting each other. So I didn't want to build like Osaka or anything. So and this fleet, I think it goes like down to Ryukyu, and then this it's meant to be more support in the IU fight, and I think this one is as well. The army, I keep building armies every year. I hold this fleet in position, I think, almost the rest of the game, and just use it as like a bridge to get my armies consistently over to Asia. I do have a long-term plan with it that involved stabbing you, and it was I never was able to set it up, and I never felt like it was like fruitful though. But like my idea for it was on a fall turn after I get a convoy over, I wanted to move it into Aki Sea, And then I was gonna like I could not find a good excuse to ever put it into Aki C though. Like the only thing I could think was like, man, I'm scared Utes gonna convoy over, so I want to be able to like cover Ichigo or something stupid like that. And I was
Yeah,
like,
I
if I can't
probably
even buy it myself, like how am I ever gonna sell that to you? But
yeah,
like
I
the I
think
yeah, what?
I wouldn't have bought that for a second.
Yeah, that's why I never tried because I was like, there's no way. But like the idea would be put it in fall, and then for the next year, I go Fusan to Hanyang, and then the following year, I move it to Yellow Sea, build an army in Kyushu, and convoy it over, or build a fleet in Kyushu, and then go East China Sea, Yellow Sea, and attack Nanking and Peking while like an army comes over the top to take Peking. So it was like a 2.5 year plan I had set up, but I never had the opportunity to do it. I felt. Like every turn, I just felt like, oh, I can work with you against IU, or oh, I can work with you against someone else that I don't want to set that up, and it would just be too obvious to actually set it up proper.
Yeah.
um, Inuit happily, I'm glad disbands the entire Asian theater and keeps. Obviously, he only has one dot here, and I was kind of expecting him to disband everything, but I'm glad he didn't keep like a troll unit in Heliong gang or whatever. Keeps all his units on this side, which keeps pressure on like Athapaska, which like I'm a bit happy about. Him and you are kind of strong, and I want to keep them like slightly balanced. They're obviously in the top 4 here with us. I'm planning to win with both of them at this point, but like you don't want them to go too quick. Um, what else? More fleets from Ute and a fleet from Atha, 2 fleets from Atha on this side, so we're getting like more militarized in the Pacific, which is like a little worrying, but again, I'm working with both. Ute just committed pretty hard against South America, so I'm happy with that, and he's working with me here. And yeah. Tasnica.
All right, over in Europe, I build 2 armies because I actually had a really good year last year, minus the whole losing Gdansk thing, which did suck. You know, I have no fleets now, but also the fleet was forcibly destroyed, so it was no net loss in terms of units, allowing me to put as much as I possibly can into Europe. In West Africa, I also build. I'm still underbuilt. I've got 4 armies and 5 centers, but I am less underbuilt. Unfortunately, Portugal, despite being in wars basically all over the world, is not interested in making peace with me, as you can see from those 2 army builds. It's pretty obvious what those are going to be used for. Meanwhile, in the Caribbean, I'm able to drop down another fleet. That leaves me with, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 centers and 6 fleets. So I am finally like averagely built for the Caribbean. I have as many units as I have centers. As you can see, Spain does not remove Caribbean Sea. Instead, let's see, Spain disbands in Asia, and I think also
Nazca.
just disbanded a couple of treats.
Yeah. Nazca.
Oh, and yes,
Mindoro.
yep, down there too. So Spain keeps everything. They really want to keep fighting me. I believe we're not even doing any press at this point. England puts down another fleet. I'm still working with them, so that is perfectly fine with me.
All right. Bring. Yeah. Meepstir.
Yeah, so I think I was definitely yeah. So these moves, you can see that Mughals are finally starting to move against us or move against Ayu. They're moving full on in. They stab them a little. I think probably Rinpoche was supposed to support Kunming to Chengdu here, very happy it didn't. I'm a bit shocked. I assume I think like I assumed the core this turn was like a kind of like, oh now you will think that I'm coring again, but I'm not going to. Kind of like a little sand in the eyes trick. Um, Definitely though, I think like we can see down here, I was a little I guess I'll say now. Some of the tactics that we were pulling out on the IU front were less than my first choice.
Mhm.
So I was a little annoyed about this, that we did it this direction, for taking Hokan. I definitely wanted to have Nanking go down so that I could get the army in. If I got the army in, I can maybe convince you to let me into Macau. I can get another build. I'm sure there's reasons that you didn't want that to happen, namely the OPC plan. Uh, but yeah, I mean, honestly, any progress is good. I'll probably mention like each turn what I had wanted to do, and then, but I mean, at this point, I was definitely like, I was in the vassal relationship. I need you very badly. If you decide to stab me, like again, like even if you ever decide like if you really pressed me, like and you said, okay, I'm taking Han Yang. I mean, or if you just went for it, like what can I really do?
Mhm.
Um, there's not a lot, especially as I'm fighting Ayu right now. So I just kind of say whatever you tell me my marching orders. I say that sounds great. Oh yeah, I think I wanted you to go Macau here as well, um, so that we'd blow up this army. But I think you weren't for that, and you'll probably explain why.
Yeah,
Um,
there was some weird thing. I remember it like didn't work or something, right? Or like
can't
it might
remember.
have not if you like moved. No, I can't remember. You did say that though. But
This
then
is
like I couldn't
guaranteed. Oh, actually, I
it,
think I remember having a chat with you guys about this.
it was a fall
Uh,
thing. I remember it was I was able to guarantee like both in fall or it was like guaranteed one and like a 50 shot at one or something, but if we blow it up we only have like guaranteed one or something like that. It was just slightly
Okay, yeah,
something like
makes
that.
sense.
yeah, I think it was something about you were worried that like I would support his units back or something. Because
Yeah, yeah.
I had a chat with you guys, possibly as a result of Meepstir being like, I don't like these tactics. Can you talk with Toku? And I had like a tactical chat, um, with you, as we did in this game as Poland and Toku,
Yeah.
having tactical chats about things, being like, hey, why aren't you blowing up this army in Hokkien? It's like, oh no, there's all these reasons, and Ezio might
Yeah,
support himself out.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and the main thing, obviously, you wanted to go down. My idea was, again, I was counted up my dots, and I figured I needed like Macau, Hainan, like 4 dots or something from IU, and then like a big chunk here. And may have been able to get away the whole game without stabbing you. Like, what am I at here? 23. So I need 9 more. So if I get like Macau, Hainan, Hanoi, and we keep Fanrang, I'd still need 6 more, which would be like Danny, Monado, Makassar, like Flores, Timor, and like maybe Cotabadu or Benjisserman or something. And then you also needs 12 more. He is only going to get like 2 more from NA, or yeah, because everything like above this line is going to Atha. He's going to get like 1, 2, or I feel like he's only going to get like 2 in the Caribbean or something. So he still needs like 8 more dots, and I want to get him like a few here, and then he needs a few in here too. So like if I was gonna go the rest of the game without stabbing you, and I was gonna work with you against IU, I felt like I was the one who's gonna need to get these IU dots instead of you, or else I would have had to like just go for the stab on you to make my
yeah,
own.
fair
Um,
enough, I guess.
because there was a point in the game where I did switch my mindset from like an eventual stab on you to where I was like, I think I can win without ever attacking you, and I think it's just going to be easier for me to continue working with you to get to my number, and then like even past that number, I felt like I could keep doing it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
an interesting part of vassal relationships, right? Because it sounds silly on the surface, like I can't let you have dots so that I don't have to stab you.
yeah,
But when you
But
look at
it's
the yeah,
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, I always think back, like I was definitely doing some thinking on this, like as the vassal relationship kept going on. Because like I thought it was really like I don't know if I ever mentioned it, but I thought it was really funny that like in the ICI I was playing Toku, I got China to be my vassal, and then we killed Ezio together. And then it happened again, but with me in the opposite role. Uh
I did, I did see the irony on that, and part of me there was like, I was like, I felt like you were gonna be a strong vassal because I was like, you just won with this exact position, and you probably like empathize with my spot a bit, where
Yeah,
it's
I'm
like,
like, yeah, definitely. I was like, you know what? If I have to not win a game, the guy that I've been allied with since turn one has only done like sneaky stabs, hasn't actually like sent all his units at me, and everyone else around me dies and loses the game. There are worse endings,
yeah,
to a very poor start. Um, but where was I going with that? I think it was the vassal relationship. It was like because I remember, it's such a hard balancing act because when I had ice cream as the vassal, I was always worried that he was going to stab me, and I definitely like was trying to maintain like making it so that he wouldn't like be willing to go after me,
yeah.
and playing that correctly. But it was like the complete opposite with you, where I was trying to make sure you didn't go after me, and I think that had a lot to do with like the hostage situation of Han Yang,
Yeah.
which
And
yeah.
also the fact that I got all the fleets disbanded and shit, like you were never able to. I made sure that was a thing, right? That's mainly why
Mhm.
I was like super tight with you because I knew there was no chance, like you could, even if you wanted to, like there's no real attacks you had on me. You could just like
Yeah.
annoy me and kind of slow me down with certain things. But it was more beneficial just to work with you.
And it's also really important that Han Yang is not a core here.
Yeah.
Like if Ming could just drop a fleet in Han Yang whenever they felt like it.
Yeah, I would get an Eden. Yeah, I think even if I like have even if I own Fusan instead of Hanyang, I probably get stabbed here because you can, yeah, get
Yeah.
it a lot easier
Would I?
because you
The
can
thing
go.
is, I always think long term, right? Like I don't like sticking my units. Like that's the whole reason I wouldn't put that army in here because I feel like
Yeah.
it's like in chess. Like if you stick your knight in the corner or something, like you're just deactivating your unit instead of like keeping it in an active spot. So like if I ever stick a fleet in Hanyang, I always want to have the next year be the follow up to like Yellow Sea and then an attack
Mhm.
on your coast. And if I don't have that, I'm like never gonna just go for the one dot stab.
True.
Um. Yeah, other elsewhere though. We do these tactics. I remember like I think Alois sent me these like right away, and I was looking at this like exact kind of thing anyway, just because I liked them. IU bounces me out of here, but I'm able to walk into South China Sea, so that gives me a nice position. Bounce out Hainan. Or not bounce out Hainan, dislodge it. Um Here, you did not want to do this move either. He was worried like I was gonna stab him, and like, obviously it's kind of a scary spot that I have like a bunch of units on it, and I'm getting him to walk out. But I was like, no, this just like makes more tactical sense. Like, let's just put you in Sulu Sea. I follow up Cebu to like Palawan the next turn, and then we start pushing into Natuna Sea. I'll we'll try to get you into Cotabato eventually. Um, there's so much stuff I did each turn here. So for this, I I kind of want to go back to the other moves, but originally I was looking at this move when I first set it up for this is spring, yeah. I was worried that Dutch and Mapuche were gonna work together, and Minato was gonna support Danny up to Halmahera. So like, and I didn't know which one I could do, so I went to both of them and like gave them both a different kind of story. For Dutch, I gave him a simple, or I'll do Mapuche first because he was the first one who responded to me. I went to him and I was like, in case they are working together, I want Mapuche to think like I'm gonna bail out here and start going for Dutch instead. So I go to him and I say like, yo man, the only reason I went for Danny was because like you stabbed me for Flores here and I'm upset about it. Like I don't actually think this was a good move and I did this out of emotion just because like I wanted a dot off you because you stole one off me. But I actually think like the better move for me here is to go Halmahera to Banda, pull Solomon back, and then go into Monado. And I want you to support me into Banda, so I can get support. This is such a stupid thing for like a move that was never gonna happen. But I did this like whole complex shit to try and get him to do that. And then I also went to Dutch and I was like, hey man, if you want me to never attack you, like you be my vassal here. Just don't bounce me out of like Helma Heresy. Don't mess with anything I'm doing with Mapuche, and I'll leave you alone and I won't do anything there. And he agreed to that too. So I ended up getting the support into here that I didn't take, and I stabbed Mapuche for Danny, which was the original plan anyway. And then Salt actually, I can't remember if I asked him to do this, but I just said don't mess with me, and he didn't. So I was happy with that. And Mapuche immediately came to me after that, and he's like, "Why did you fucking give me a pointless lie, man? Like you could have just did this move anyway instead of that." And I was like, "Oh shit." You know what also happened? Garani, he was supposed to attack Mapuche with us too, because me, Ute, and Garani were all like doing a coalition on Mapuche, and he pulls all his units away from Mapuche on this turn, and I was fucking pissed at him. I'm like, dude, you just got us both to commit against Mapuche, and now you're pulling everything out. So when Mapuche asked why I did that, I was like, "Oh man, I was really gonna pull out, but fucking Garani came to me last second, and he said like, yo, you gotta stab him. I'm going all in on him here,' and he fucked me over. And now I'm in a worse spot here. Like I wish I didn't do this. I wish I would have stuck with you and shit. So I had like a huge little scandal here over like a move that was never gonna fucking be done because these two weren't working together at all. But I thought that was funny. I did this like a few times this game, like earlier on with Korea with like Meepstir, where I made like a fake move set and stuff just to try and get him to not do something.
Wait, which one?
Remember when like I thought like you and Ching were gonna like work together, and I like told you I was gonna support you in with a different unit or some shit like
yeah.
that. But like it
Yeah.
was all just to try and misdirect.
Yeah.
And like similar thing. I did something with I did it earlier too, and I didn't mention it. But like one time, I was leaving Edo open, and Ute was telling me he was gonna dislodge like a Spanish fleet, and I told him like I don't want him to do that because I was actually leaving like Kuroshio open, and it was just kind of like a subtle thing to try and cover Edo without actually covering Edo, and then he didn't end up doing that. Yeah, other than that though, we continue this attack on Mapuche. So Ute is like fully committed here. He's supporting his own fleets in, diving more in on the coast. So like I'm very happy to see this. I feel like this is like a game-winning thing for me to get Ute not. Oh yeah, and he goes up to Boracaya, which he also did not want to do. But I was like, yo, like I'll fucking go to Amor here, and then I'll just support you in fall. You keep your fleet there the whole game, and I can just keep like pushing out this way, and you hold that dot. And Atha didn't want him to do this either. Like Atha was very untrustworthy of me and thinking I was gonna stab Ute this whole time, and like wanted him to keep a way bigger like fleet area here. But he does end up going for this, and I'll talk a bit more about that coming up. Convoy over here. Here I'm starting to, because I trust Ute and Eth at this point, sort of to not convoy over. I do this one I could have mobilized a little faster by going to a Telman and then Koryax and pushing it out. But I do want to keep a little bit here just in case, like on this turn, Atha convoyed an army over to Chukchis and Ute backfilled me and Karaginsky, then they would have had an attack on Carrick's. But because I have Carrick's there, I guess I could have supported it back still, but then he would have been able to hit Evan. I can't remember, but I do want to keep it a little militarized, so I'm going to keep these two fleets hanging around here for a bit. I core on this side and not on this one because I want to like signal to Ute that like I'm not trying to build units here and like push out this way. Like my direction is to go into Russia and stuff like that. I tell him like every move in the Pacific that I'm doing this turn because he was pretty worried about like me getting him out of these spots. So I was like, yo, like I'll give you every move, and if I lie to you at all, like you can know I'm like trying to set you up, but everything here I'm doing is legit. Yeah. And I don't push out more this way. I play more cautious, even though like I don't feel like I have to, because I don't feel like there's much I can even gain in this area if I do start. I probably should have pushed out to Hohot in retrospect, but I remember just thinking like I wouldn't be able to push much further past this inland. And yeah, I think that's everything on my end. Tasnica?
All right, Polish Europe. So I'm trying to peace out with both Austria and Sweden here. Um, Going to Austria and being like, hey man, I don't think inviting Sweden into my centers is a good idea for you. I've lost my entire navy as a result. And if I go, Sweden is obviously going to come for your dots next. Let's just keep working together against both of them and, not have a big fight. Meanwhile, going to Sweden, and I'm like, hey, I've got no Baltic Navy. I'm not going to be able to build any more fleets soon. And even if I did, it would take ages to actually have them threaten you. Just go someplace else. You can take the 2 Austrian dots easily. You can put more units into France and England, both of whom are, still in their eternal war. It's still a chaotic mess. You could be an incredible Sweden and just gobble up all of that instead of fighting Poland for the entire game. Go do that. It'll be a better use of your time. And then, of course, also working the third angle of, hey, yeah, if neither of these work, I need to hard ally Safavid because that's my only realistic chance in Europe. So just talking with Safavid all the time, being like, hey, we can work together against Sweden. We can work together against Ottoman. Really try to salvage both of our games here. Because obviously, I'm still struggling. I'm in 7th place at this point. Safavid, after being on top for much of the game, has gotten knocked all the way down to 6th and had several disbands last year.
Also,
Has Mughal walking into their stuff,
the position
just
is like wrecked.
Yeah, just like, hey, we need to really hard align here if either of us stand a chance or we both lose. So those are the 3 angles I'm working in Europe. Safavid is pretty receptive. He destroys the Swedish army in Bryansk, which is awesome. Keeps pushing in that direction. Starts pushing into Turkey, which is great for me. And also gives me full approval to core Bakhchisarai. As you'll notice, there are no Ottoman fleets in the Black Sea anymore, which means that if we can get a fleet of our own into that area before Austria can, and there is a ticking time bomb because Austria is pushing a fleet into Greece already, but if we can get even a single fleet in there, we'll have a huge advantage working together in that theater. Unfortunately, my other angles do not work. Sweden decides to continue death warring me and just taps Kyiv, tries to put even more pressure on me. Austria support holds him in Gdansk. So we get to keep that Swedish army in there instead of me destroying it. So it is essentially a 2v2, which could be worse, but is not very fun regardless. Meanwhile, in West Africa, Portugal is full sending me. He's sending multiple armies down, multiple fleets down. He's convoying in. There's just a whole ton of tactical guesses here. Me and England eventually decide on a moveset which does not cover Niani. Unfortunately, we guessed wrong, and Portugal convoys straight into there. I do manage to not immediately lose any centers. I don't lose Ualata. I don't lose Endikaru or Jacob Fort, despite Portugal's attempted push. But he ends up in a very strong position in fall, and it's just incredibly rough. I'm glad that Guarani is starting to focus on him in South America, because Portugal's position is just incredibly scary on a global scale. Like look in South America, France just lets them walk into Kalina. It's just
I remember when he did tell me like, yo, like I gotta go against Portugal because just look at him. I was like, in part of my head, I was like, yeah, that honestly, it does make sense. But I was just pissed because like, you were lying and you could have kept like a couple units on Mapuche here. But yeah, Portugal did need to be attacked for sure.
and also like, that's more Oot's problem than yours, right?
Yeah,
Like
the
yes,
problem.
you're fighting Mapuche a bit
Yeah,
in the east, but like I don't think Mapuche can afford to commit all that much against you in this scenario. Like Oot is in Chiloy.
yeah, it is more against Ute. The problem was I didn't want Ute to like try and turn around at any point. Like I wanted him to feel confident he could get dots off of Mapuche, and I was trying to win with him too. So it's like if he can't, then that becomes a problem.
Yeah, that's fair. If Portugal was not such a huge threat, I could see being more annoyed at it.
Yeah.
But the Portugal position is just utterly yikes
Mm-hmm.
in the situation. Like Congo is just completely dying. They still have the Adjaran vassal. Even India's going pretty well for them.
Yeah.
Spain is falling apart.
Safavid's getting weaker too.
Yeah, um, it's been a rough colonial game for most of the colonials, but certainly not Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, my Caribbean. Uh, so Spain, of course, decides that the best use of his fleet is to prevent me from coring, because that is certainly going to help his position in some fashion. Meanwhile, me and England just close in on him on all sides because,
Yeah.
well,
Oh,
the Spanish position is incredibly weak and vulnerable, and England doesn't particularly need him much at this point. So Caribbean Sea is just destroyed. It has nowhere to retreat to. And Panama is forced to go to like Honduras, north coast. Oh no, sorry, Honduras south coast. So which is not a good position to have a fleet in. So I don't get the core, which is incredibly annoying. But I weaken the person who's death warring me. So that is promising.
All right.
Retreats.
Yeah, just pretend it's the clean map because I downloaded the wrong one.
Yeah, I mean, in this position, the big issue is the Nanking block now. Especially with how the units have kind of ended up. I think right here, kind of what I'm thinking is that I want to, uh, I think I probably want to get Nanking down to Hokkien, with Hokkien being supported into Macau and Fokien Strait supporting Nanking. But with Bay of Tonkin, I mean that's a very obvious move. And if Ezio does decide to tap Hanoi to try and cover it, that might be good, but it also might not work. And I'm definitely still kind of worried about kind of what Ezio's going to do, but I think at this point, like I've seen what the Mughals have done, and I'm pretty confident that we're working together. And I think I start like trying to really cooperate with the Mughals here, but I'm not sure if they're too keen on that. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, the main things I wanted to talk about here, I can't remember. Oh, well, we'll look at the moves because I don't want to go through the whole thing again. The main thing here was this move that Ute was supposed to do to Yakutsk. And what I promised him support into there, but I remember looking at this position like, man, Russia's got nothing really guarding that. Like, you'll be able to get into this at any point. But right now, Buryatia has absolutely no support. And I could stick a more right into Buryatia with support and get right onto Ikari this turn. So I was kind of like very reluctant to. I told him Like, just go for it. I won't support you. Like, what are the chances Russia even bounces you out? Like, I kind of need this position. And then he went to Russia and asked or told Russia, I can't remember, but he let Russia know that like I wasn't supporting him in. And then Russia told him like, oh, actually, I'm gonna bounce you out of Yakutsk, so like he has to support you in. And then he was asked, and then he's like, fuck, you got to support me in the whole time. And I was just kind of pissed at that. Like, fuck, I could have just got in there without that, but now this is a whole thing. So this was a problem the whole turn where or at least like the whole last day, where like he really wanted me to get support and I really wanted to go to Buryatia. Eventually, another idea popped up where the idea would be Athapaska convoys Nome over to Yakutsk, and then Nome supports me into Buryatia. We support like Nome into Yenisei eventually, and then we get an attack going that way. Because at this point, Safavid is now getting pushed back, and they were originally going to be the person that I needed to like get into Yenisei and Zaizan to get pressure on these, so I could get like Itkuri and Karakorum. So we're getting another. I agreed to convoy another army into here, and I said I would give him one of these dots in the long run, or both if it like made sense and stuff. But I just want Itkuri and Karakorum, and that we ended up doing that instead. I think I can't remember. Within like half an hour after this happening, Mughals come to me and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna stab Russia this turn," and Russia told me that the moveset they're doing is like Karakorum to Ikkari and Gobi to Hohot. So if you go like Kikahar to Outer Mongolia and can't remember what the other move, more down or something, like you'll have a fucking killer position on him ready to go the next turn, and I'll stab him here, and like we can push up on him. And I was like, fuck, that's like a really good idea. So I take him up on that too, and do that move set. And then anything else I need to mention before moves? Probably not, but I just wanted to mention that there. Tasnica, is anything before we see moves?
Before we see moves, no, just mostly negotiations with my neighbors. You know, trying to convince Sweden to back off, trying to convince Austria to back off. Continuing to build close ties with Safavid, and preparing to make a whole ton of guesses for the fall, because just about every theater has a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, for moves. Meepstir.
Okay. Yeah, so we did end up trying to do that plan with, yeah. I think I had asked for Folkine to support here, but yeah, I understand why you didn't give it. Even if I think it probably was it was very strange because every time the moves would go through, I'd be like, "Yep, my original tactics were correct," and I can't even go brag about it to him because then. But yeah, I think I had also considered sending Chengdu down to Hokkien, but I was so afraid of, yeah, that of it. I don't even remember what I was afraid of. If I send Chengdu down to Hokkien, I think no. I think you just wanted Hu Guang tapped.
That's right. That's right. This was just a task
yeah,
for
it's
me for sure.
another Canadian classic. And then we also get Aulus in Mughals. I don't know what he was thinking here, honestly. Like, I don't know why he didn't take Bamo.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he moved in.
Oh,
I
it's
was
because
really
he strikes another deal with IU, and then after this, he's like, I'm never working with him again. The rest of my game is gonna be to
yeah.
kill him.
Have we heard that one before?
Yeah, I've heard it a lot in our press. Uh, but the issue here is that this gives Bumble, who's playing Russia, I think.
Yeah.
I think Bumble gets a little like, because I think I don't know about you, I was very down to work with Mughals here, and we had kind of like worked into that three-way. And then this Mughals basically reneges on us, And then Russia's like, hey, I noticed Mughals not doing what you wanted us to. And I don't know if that was a similar thought process for you, but that's definitely what I was thinking.
Yeah, I'll get into it.
Okay. That's all for me then.
That's all. All right. Yeah, so I guess we'll start with that area. So yeah, Mughal stabs Russia here, but does not work with us against Ayu. So like I was like kind of pissed, but he gave me a good moveset here, so I was like kind of 50-50. Like you helped me out last turn. You helped me out this turn against Russia here, but not against IU. But then you helped me against IU last turn and not against Russia. I was asking him to attack Russia like every turn too, and he wasn't doing that. So he was always doing like one thing that I liked and one thing that I didn't. Um, we do get this convoy, this Athapaska convoy over. So now Athapaska is in Yakutsk. And immediately after this turn flips, Russia makes a chat with Ming and I, and he goes, "Oh man, like Mughals did not only just stab me, but he obviously gave you this move set too, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, he did." And he's like, "All right, well, my game's now. I'm gonna just be your vassal, Tokugawa. I'm gonna throw everything west towards Mughals, and I'm gonna disband Buryatia, and like you can just backfill my dots here." And of course, I'm just like, "Yeah, that works perfect for me. Like, I will do that." So yeah, I was down to work with Mughals, and like if he was down to just like chop up IU and Russia, I was probably down to do that. But now that Russia like totally throws his hat in with me, and he does end up disbanding Buryata in winter, I was like, it's probably just a smarter idea to like push Russia along and now fight Safavid and Mughal and use like Ming and Russia as the vanguard to fight them, and then use Ming against Ayu too while I swing around and then swing over the top here. So like my whole game flipped immediately after this turn. I'll talk a bit more about it in winter. But yeah, this is like a huge turn and a huge flip for me that Russia and Mughals are now fighting. And we got the extra Atha army to even put more pressure on Russia, which at this point I actually became a little worried about because this was a gamble I was taking anyway. Like, obviously, with an extra army here, it kind of ruined my plan of having like an unbreakable blockade that I could just push with, and they're a fleet hanging here because now Athapaska can like walk into these tiles and start putting pressure on me if he really wants. But I'm in an alliance with him. We make a three-way chat. I think immediately after this move. Now that he's like right next to me, I make a three-way chat with Atha and Ute called the Three Winners, and we like pretty much make the pact that we're gonna like, go to the end together, and like our next target is gonna be Safavid, and we're gonna try and get Athapaska to convoy more armies over the top to go against Safavid and stuff. um, what
Yeah, I was
else?
calling
So
you guys the Pacific Trio at this point,
yeah.
and basically my own game was like, okay, how can I win with this trio? Because they're obviously coordinating together and just dominating the entire Pacific.
Yeah, we really at this point, like after this game, I really have like almost no resistance other than like IU kind of fighting back. Like I have no resistance in Russia because they're working with me. Ming is also my vassal. I have no resistance here. On this side of the ocean, they're both my allies who I'm planning to win with. On this side of the ocean, like Mapuche is weak getting attacked by my ally. Salt has said he's my vassal. Oh, I'll get to that. So Dutch is also my vassal at this point, and when after spring moves came in, Ute immediately asked him to support him in Dakota Batu, and he didn't get a response. But Dutch told me about that. He's like, Ute wants support in there. And I said, like, can you support him? Like, if you're gonna be my vassal, like, I'd appreciate if you actually did support him, and like that'd be a great move for us and stuff. And he was like, sure, I'll do it for you. I actually didn't trust him at the time because I was like, dude, you're just gonna cover Monado. Like, I don't know. I just thought he was gonna cover Monado instead of actually trust me. But he does support Ute in, and I told Ute that I was gonna get him to support in. So this got me like brownie points too, where I used my vassal to like help him out. Um, yeah, and then I didn't obviously stab Zambo, so such a good ally. Um, what else was making pressure progress against Ayu here, able to sneak into Cambodia, so I got a clean shot at Ayutthaya next turn. Just getting into position to keep attacking him here. More position on Mapuche. I feel like there's something else I missed here. But yeah, I do the move like Mughals tells me, get the good position on Russia. But I think that's pretty much it. Ute. That's right. So he actually does. Mapuche claims to be Ute's vassal at this point, this turn, and like he was supposed to give support into this center here, but instead he actually attacks Ute and like cuts his fleet and stuff. So this makes Ute like go fully against him for the rest of the game, pretty much.
Dislodging the convoy, right?
Yeah, dislodging the convoy. And then he also supports himself into Chilo, so he takes Chilo back, which is kind of shit for me because now, like, I was trying to get a good spot in here, but now he just lost his whole attack against Mapuche, at least for this year, but he still has, like, everything in position to continue it, but he lost the one center he had and he didn't gain anything else. So I was like, shit.
Right. At least the good part for you is that it was done in a way that would get him incredibly pissed at Mapuche.
Yeah.
So he's still like highly incentivized to keep going in that direction.
Yeah, and he does. And yeah. What am I missing? Oh well, we'll go to Tasnica.
All right, so Polish Europe. Austria does not want to be my friend. He forces Targoviste. He also tries to take Krakow, but I block it. The whole Sweden-Austria front is a stalemate. Like, they are getting absolutely nothing from working together here. Either of them could stab the other for gains, but they're both attacking me for nothing. Well, Austria's getting stuff, but with not Swedish help whatsoever. That's just his own stuff. So, like, I keep telling them, hey, I'm not the aggressor here. I'm just literally holding my position and defending myself. If either of you wants to, do something else and get dots elsewhere, be my guest. I'm just going to keep defending. Meanwhile, a bit further south, I ruined some of Austria's plans because it is incredibly obvious to me that Austria wants to get his fleet into the Black Sea before I can get a fleet into the Black Sea. So I have Safavid support hold Constantinople and support Ottoman right back into her own center, which blows up the Austrian fleet.
Nice.
So now we have the tempo. I can get a fleet in Black Sea now before Austria can reach it, which is absolutely huge. Like, if he has some sort of crazy ambition to, start getting a navy there to kill me, followed by Safavid, like, those dreams are just falling apart. This is really bad for him. And I tell him this, I'm like, hey, dude, use your fleets against Spain. Use your armies against France and or Sweden. I don't want to be fighting you. You're the one who is forcing this turn after turn. We'll see if he's receptive to that or not. Meanwhile, in Africa, lots of guesses. Some I guess correctly, some I guess incorrectly. Uulada is guessed correctly. Me and England bounce him out. I guessed correctly in that I'm able to bounce him out of Degen, which is great. It means I have an open core. Whether I'm going to have any builds to put in it is another question. We guessed incorrectly in that he does not go for Uwaga, so I walk into Uwaga. That is arranged with England. And in part of that arrangement, England supports himself into Niani. So we basically do a dot trade there, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing I guess wrong is tapping Fulani, which lets Portugal. Well, I guess he was supporting it anyway. Oh no. He walks in and supports himself into Jacob Force. I lose both of them. So yeah, that's not great. But again, Portugal is committing. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's got like 8 units in this theater. and has 2 cores for making more. Oh, he also takes Cormanton too. So yeah, this is not looking great for me in England. We're
Yeah.
holding on as best we can, but it is a losing battle against just this uber powerful colonial.
And he's creeping
And
up the coast here with Azure on support too, slowly.
yep, and England is losing his home centers too now. Like, I've been allied with England for a while now, but I'm just getting really worried that his position is just completely screwed, and mine is going with it. Despite, again, our best efforts to coordinate together and make something happen. In the Caribbean, though, things are going well at least. I'm supported into Puerto Rico. So we have now taken all of the French islands. France just has the one center left in Cayenne, which they do open up, but I'm pretty sure France does not have builds at the moment. So they can't really take advantage of that. I finally get Cartagena back as England realizes that Spain is not really helpful anymore and is just causing more problems than he's solving. So Belize is taken, Cartagena, Panama, Spain's losing everything.
Yep.
And I start coring again, twice this time, hoping that I will get at least one of them off and no longer have just one core in the Caribbean to have to, hold up the entire colony.
All right. Winter.
Yeah.
All right. Anything worth mentioning here, Meepster?
Bamo comes off the board. It's a little bit concerning, I guess. It definitely added to the feel that maybe Mughals are going to continue to try and work with Ayu and kind of definitely, I mean, Bamo is pretty much it is probably the least important unit that Ayu has on the board right now. But I was kind of hoping for something like Hu Guang, or something of that nature. Because I felt like if that happened, I could have maybe worked with Ezio and tried to like reorient towards Ning or something. I mean, I was definitely trying to build, and I had kind of gotten the vibe from you at this point that, I mean, I'm probably not going to be getting many more centers. And if I do want to get centers, they're probably going to have to be inland, ones that like aren't very appealing for Canadian to be able to get.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of shift that way, especially after Mughals kind of fumbling it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there wasn't much I can do if Hu Guang's on the board. I need to be defending. I can't. If I lose Chengdu again, I'm not getting back in, and I'm definitely not getting anything more than that. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, for me, the thing I did forget to talk about, I guess it's fine to talk about here though, was this was like a risk for me. Like I said, he could go back and attack this kind of stuff. And after the way the press turned out, like in the way that I made this deal, like right before I made this deal with Mughals, I don't know if I would have agreed to actually put him in here after Mughals gave me this. And I kind of regretted it immediately after because Russia is obviously like so weak here that I don't even really need the extra army to go break him, and he's agreeing to just move out of everything and take it anyway. So this kind of just becomes a army that's going to get like a free dot that I felt like I could grab at this point. But I already had made the deal by the time Mughals had done this, and if I didn't make the deal and I like kind of pissed off you by not supporting him to Yakutsk, I was kind of worried that they would like find a different spot to convoy an army into. So it was like a calculated risk where I felt like there is downside to doing this, but I felt like it was just kind of less so than the others, and it had some upside when I made the deal, but it kind of doesn't anymore. But it's yeah. Um, Again, I build another army here, get ready to convoy it over. I did finish that core I didn't talk about, and I moved this down like they couldn't stab me for fall once they had these units moved, so I was able to move Carrick's away and start DMZing this. and start being able to send these fleets up here that aren't doing anything into this kind of area to start winning this. Another fleet in Bonin Islands, just because, again, it's best access to be able to send it like whatever way I need. And yeah. Dutch here again. This is why I didn't find him like a super reliable vassal. I asked him like where's he gonna build, and he told me Makassar, and then he just builds Monado and told me it was a misorder, and I was like, oh my god, man, like why do you gotta break my trust over nothing? But yeah, I wasn't even gonna go for him anyway because I was planning on actually continuing against Mapuche here, but yeah. Spain finally disbands the last fleet in the area, which I wanted him to do a while before because I said, you're going to lose this whole area. And yeah. You stuck armies on the coast here to try and convoy them down, get more convoy options over to South America. But that also leaves convoy options over to me, so I like to keep the fleet in Edo just so he can't do that, even though it's unlikely. And he only has one fleet in NPO now. So he can't like do a supported attack, which is why I don't build like Osaka. Or it's why I keep this open because I coordinate with him every turn to know like how many fleets he's gonna have in NPO, and then if he's only gonna have one the next turn, I can leave Ito with one open here. If he's gonna have two, I like to have one in Kuroshio so they can support hold each other. Just to block like the one attack that I actually do have an opening on me, because everywhere else I'm pretty much winning. Yeah. Athapaska builds another. Oops. What map did it go to? Athapaska builds another army up here. Getting ready to convoy it into Yakutsk again, but he's telling me like or that one actually might not be. I think they were setting it up for like a winter convoy or something. Eventually, the plan was to get Ute up into Laptev Sea, and then we start convoying shit over and start attacking Safavid too. Because at this point, like the three of us are trying to win together, and we kind of want to cut like everyone else we can. Safavid's in a weird spot where they're going to be strong enough to like block, but because they're losing ground like here and stuff, they're not going to actually. We don't think they're going to be able to make it to the top. So we want to be in position to cut them out if we can. And same with Sweden, I think they're working with Sweden for a bit, but eventually they do the same thing with Sweden where they want to get units on him to be able to cut him. And yeah. Portugal is one we're always worried about. We've had like a colonial, like Aymara made an anti-colonial group chat a while back. I don't think either of you guys were in it, but he made it with like Mapuche, you, me, Atha, and some other shit just to do a global anti-Portugal effort, and that was like pretty good. But like none of us were really in position. None of the strong players were really in position to hit Portugal. Like us three, we're we're so far away from him that we had like I have no way to directly attack him unless I go through SPO and into like South Atlantic and stuff like that, which is way too far away and way too overextended for me. And then same with them, like they don't have an option to do it. So like we were trying to get Mapuche and stuff in on it and Guarani. Obviously talking with Poland and stuff, Tasnica, trying to keep you strong and stuff, but we were trying to brainstorm ideas of like how we can even win this front. And there's just no, like, we have no fucking navies to ever come and hit Portugal from this direction. Like, Sweden was the only one we were kind of thinking, but like, he's fighting you, and that would just be way overextended for him, too. So yeah, we were reluctantly thinking Portugal was just gonna probably win, but we didn't want to give him any options to solo, and we didn't really have an ability to cut him. So we were kind of just thinking like he might be able to sneak his way into the win. And when we started talking to him about that, he was saying that he wanted to drag Ajuran, who is like kind of far down, also into the win to do like a 5-way win. And we ended up making like a 5-way chat with Ajuran, Portugal, and us three, and agreed to like split up this area and stuff between us and then all win together and shit. And we agreed to give Ajuran like Australia or something too. I we eventually agree to give him the whole thing, but I think we agree to split it at one point, and then eventually it becomes the whole thing in exchange for something over here. I can't remember, but yeah, that's kind of like the bigger global story going on.
Well, that's the tricky thing, right? Like, if you're not in a position to cut somebody, you're also probably not in the greatest position to stop them from soloing.
Yeah,
So you need to find ways to put that pressure on them or keep up with them or something or another to make sure that they can't just win on the other side of the world while you have to watch.
yeah, and honestly, I keep up the public appearance that I'm really worried about Portugal soloing. I don't think he really can. At this point in the game, I don't think anyone can solo. Like it just went so slow. Like everyone kind of grew at the same pace that I was like, I'm never gonna be able to like get fucking like 12 above Ute or like 10 above Atha at this point or what. Like I'm never gonna be able to get the 35% gap I need, and I don't think Portugal will either because like I have like guaranteed growth in multiple areas, and I feel like I'm going to be able to do it enough where like Portugal's never going to be able to outgrow me. But I still like to keep up the public appearance that he's the biggest solo threat because I want people focusing their attention on him over me, who's sitting in first place. And I like it's just easy to pick on the big colonial who's like scary in multiple areas and get everyone focusing on them over me. But I wasn't super worried he was actually going to solo at any point. Slightly, like 5%. I kept in the back of my mind. I don't want that to be a possible way I can lose, but it wasn't like a huge worry. Anyway, Tasnica.
Yeah, so I only have 2 builds to work with this year, and 3 theaters, so I have to make a hard choice. And ultimately, I decide to not build in Africa. West Africa is just so screwed. Portugal is incredibly powerful in the region. England is collapsing. Portugal is heavily committed already, and as you can see, is building even more.
Yeah.
Like, I just decide to try to make the most of what I have. And plus, 3 units for 3 centers is a nice balance.
Yeah.
I put an army into Europe because, well, Europe is definitely important. And my neighbors to the west are not being very promising. Uh, Austria just keeps on stabbing me. Sweden keeps on stabbing me. Sweden's builds are also incredibly hostile toward me. Like, he builds no fleets. He's got a French and English death war going on, a super powerful Portugal, and he builds no fleets. Uh, Incredibly concerning to me. Should be incredibly concerning to Austria as well, because, well, where are Swedish armies going? They're either going into his dots or the dots that he would like if he keeps on fighting me. I, of course, try to point this out to him. We'll see how that goes. Over in the Caribbean, I build my first Caribbean army.
Ooh.
Which, I'm allies with England.
Yep.
What other naval dots are there for me to get? Like, there's IN, I guess. But, having an army would be really helpful if I'm going to push into that area. Because, well, the terrain really supports that. Bracapondo borders Kalina if there's an army in there. Carib is a really nice spot. Orinoco is a really nice spot for me to have an army in, just defensively. Me and Aymara are on good terms right now, but he's a vassal of Ute. And, it's probably good to have at least some contingency in case relations ever deteriorate. So I'm putting an army down to try to solidify what I already have as I work on these 2 cores.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the right move too. Like you said, Africa's pretty much dead. If you're throwing extra units in here, you're like taking surplus out from somewhere else to put it in a spot that's gonna die, and you're never gonna be able to get anything out of. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and while I am still of the philosophy that I need all three theaters to win, first of all, my winning chances aren't exactly great at the moment. And secondly, as long as I have at least one unit in West Africa, I can still theoretically do something if Portugal collapses or cuts a deal with me or something.
Mm-hmm. All right. Uh, okay. Spring 1950 moves.
Okay, so some very, I mean, we can see it happening here that Russia has successfully gotten that stab going, has successfully switched sides, and now I'm supporting him into Lanzhou. Meanwhile, Mughals are moving on Ayu and having a very ambitious core in Kathmandu go through. Yeah, from my side, I mean, this was one of the years where, like, near the end here, it started to slow down a lot for me. Like, I was expecting once I got into Chengdu that I was going to be able to get a lot more movement going, but unfortunately, Ezio does indeed have good tactics. So, I wasn't able to get any movement going. And yeah, there isn't a lot. I mean, I love seeing like Ayu getting seeing you get into Ayu Toku.
Yeah, just a clean walk in.
Just a clean walk in. But yeah, honestly, I was just very laser focused on maintaining that relationship, doing whatever needed to be done to keep it going, and definitely start I don't actually think it's right about now. It's probably once you're farther in that I'll talk about it, but yeah. Yeah.
Is Ryo C moving to Gulf of Siam?
Yeah, that's a misorder. You obviously meant to go to the Tuna Sea.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Just had a few misorders this game, it seems.
Yeah,
But yeah.
and that means you walk straight into Natuna Sea, so we
Oh,
got
and
this.
that's how Naka, yeah, that's how the
Yeah.
strangest dude dot in the world happens. Okay, understood.
But also, Salt moves away from him too. So like Kodabatu, you has this completely safe core. Other than me, who could
Yes.
stab him, he has this like completely safe core, fucking super far away from him, and chance to get even more.
Yeah,
That's pretty funny.
Canadian.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, start down here. I walk into IU and here I there's a lot of tactical guessing on this one. I remember I thought like quite a bit on this phase on like all the different things that could happen. I ended up thinking like he was gonna try to blow up Bay of Tonkin, so I moved Fan Rang out to leave a spot for me to retreat into. And then I also went for Hainan here, left this open so the retreat I could retreat either way, I think. The mistake on this one was I should have supported. I should have used Manila to support Formosa down to Luzon, but I think I wanted to cover this for if he moved South China back to Fan Rang. No, because then that would have opened that up. There was some move here that I wanted if he maybe supported in. I remember I did feel like I needed to tap it for something, but it ended up being the wrong move, and I should have just supported that one in. Um. Down here, I got Dutch supporting me against Mapuche, but I also fuck up again because I knew he was going to do this, but I throw an extra support on this one instead of supporting Danny out, and Mapuche gives himself support into Coral Sea, which means he can save one of these dots, whereas if I was able to bounce him out of Coral Sea, I would have been able to take both. That was a mistake
Yeah,
on my part there.
Coral Sea is a really strong spot.
What was that?
Coral Sea is a really strong spot.
Yeah, I remember just thinking like he wasn't gonna go back this way, right? Because like Ute was all in his stuff, like Garani's attacking him and stuff. I remember just thinking like, oh, he's probably gonna send it another way or something. But yeah, I definitely should have supported this one out, especially because I knew he was gonna go to cover Flores, and I didn't think Salt was actually gonna betray me here. Like I thought he was working with me, so but just a bad move. Um, yeah, up here, beautiful turn. So on this turn, I remember like right before the end, I was like, every single person in Asia thinks they're working with me here, other than Ayu. Like Ming is my vassal, Russia is my vassal. Mughals thinks I'm working with him because he just gave me this move set to stab Russia, and I just kept playing it up with him that like, yeah, I'm working with you. Like support me to Gobi and I can't remember, I'll help you attack Karakorum or something like that. So he's giving me support there. Safavid also believes like I'm still working with them to attack Russia and Mughals, and they keep that up for quite a while. But eventually, like they find out like Russia's just working with me, and I'm eventually like kind of pushing everyone this way. But I remember thinking like if I were to somehow not have like the perfect turn here, I kind of suck because literally everyone's just doing what I want them to in this area. So I was able to get like the cleanest walks in on 4 different tiles here with 0 supports needed, and then get another army coming in to start backfilling more. Atha bounces Russia out of Yenisei, so that's like nice too that it's not getting much progress anywhere. They go move up further into Laptev Sea. They're making like a deal with Sweden to get a convoy going into Verkhotyr. Yeah, just sending more units, transferring units from this theater into this theater by Halmahera Sea, since that's like the only tile that's easy for me to keep getting things into this area, and I'll keep using that the rest of the game. Ute makes like another deal with Mapuche for like vassalship or some shit. I can't remember, but some weird shit again, where he doesn't like go for the full attack on him and tries to go for a stab on fall. I think this one actually works out much better than the last one though. And yeah, that's about what's happening here. Mughals is pulling back a bit, and Safavid's able to regain kind of their front line that they lost a few turns ago. Yeah, Tasnica.
All right, Polish Europe. So let's take a look at Austria first. Austria, I know that he really, really wants to get a fleet into the Black Sea before I have a chance to build one of my own in Bakchi. So I try to save the Ottoman fleet here by topping Sarajevo. Instead, Spain decides to vassalize himself to Austria and convoy an army from Rome into Greece, which I was not expecting to happen. And yeah, that gets an Austrian army in there, and in turn also causes me to lose Constantinople. Fortunately, I did ask Safavid to cover it from behind, which allows me to retreat into Smyrna, which is wide open. So no net loss there, and we have a bunch of units on Con still. On top of that, I also kick Austria out of Targoviste and get my army out of Bakchi so it's free to finally build that Black Sea fleet in winter, which me and Safavid have been setting up for like 2 years, which is going to be absolutely huge in really locking down this region. Meanwhile, with Sweden. So Sweden, as you might recall, has stabbed me basically every single year this entire game. And on top of that, built 3 armies last winter, which is not exactly a very friendly build set toward Poland, especially when he's got such good expansion options in the West. However, after winter, Sweden tries to cut a deal with me. Basically, that he'll stab Austria and start pulling his units back in exchange for my help against Safavid. I'm already fighting Austria, so obviously that part's taken care of. I agree. And unlike most of the prior occasions on this game, where I, genuinely tried to stick with my deals with Sweden, this time I don't believe him and accept Safavid's support into Novgorod. However, after 10 years, Sweden actually follows through on a deal with me for once, causing me to get into Gdansk, get into Novgorod, while Austria gets kicked out of Brandenburg and Bremen.
Nice.
So, this is amazing for me. Like, suddenly Sweden and Austria are fighting. I'm getting some dots. And while I did break my deal with Sweden, it's not all that bad for Sweden. Like, he's getting 2 Austrian dots, so he's already made up the dots that he's lost to me, and could theoretically negotiate with me. Try to make something work out, come up with some sort of plan that works out well for both of us. Fair play. He stabbed me 10 times, I stabbed him once. Works out pretty well. His actual reaction is to flip the hell out and mute me. Sending me a bunch of messages about how he is going to instant death war me in any game we ever play in the future.
Oh my.
Pretty a pretty fair and reasonable reaction to the relationship we've had this game. Absolutely justified behavior for the way Poland has treated Sweden in the Pumpkin Cup.
Wow.
Yeah. Guess I will not be cutting a deal with Sweden. But you know what? Fair enough. I still have my hard alliance with Safavid. And Austria just got stabbed. Maybe he'll be willing to back off himself and, prioritize things that aren't me. We'll see how that goes in fall.
We'll see.
Over in Africa, I get supported into Ualata by England. Unfortunately, Portugal predicts this and just backfills and now has 3 units on Ualata, which is not great. I do, however, help England get Cormanton back. And in fact, I believe that, yes, the Portuguese fleet is blown up by this.
Yep.
So that's a really promising development. So my hope here is that me and England can basically fight a guerrilla war of sorts and stall Portugal as much as possible, despite being grossly outnumbered. And those are my full and honest intentions in West Africa. In the Caribbean, though, I am starting to get some other ideas. Because, as I mentioned earlier, England's position is awful. He is dying all over the place. There is 0 chance he's winning this game. I still have a glimmer of a hope. And a lot of my Caribbean units don't have much to do. So while I do not stab England this phase, all of my moves are run through by him, including the move to Guadeloupe, which is intended to then go to St. Lucia or Guiana Current in the fall. I am certainly now thinking of stabbing England because I have some good opportunities to do so. I just finished 2 more cores, so I have the ability to build up to 3 units there this winter if I have the builds for it. And well, there's a lot of English dots that are pretty vulnerable.
Did he set up Spring with the intention to stab him?
Yeah, I set up spring with the intention to go either way.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to commit to it yet, but I wanted to have the option of stabbing him in the fall.
Makes sense.
But these units were all like talked through with England. Like none of it was like breaking any deals or anything like that. I also convoy into Bracapondo, which is great because there's a Portuguese dot and a French dot next to it, both of whom I'm fighting. And also the main other person I could be stabbing in the area is Aymara, but Aymara and I have had some pretty good press at this stage in the game, and he is warning me that he is an Oud vassal, and Oud has been pressuring him to stab me. Obviously, he's not stabbing me here. You know, he could have just forced Cartagena if he wanted to, but he didn't. So I am basically trusting Aymara here to, you know, hold to the fact that, you know, he's under pressure to stab me, but doesn't want to, and is basically, you know, filling me in on things behind the scenes.
Nice.
Which definitely encourages me all the more to make a stab on England here instead.
Yeah, there's not like too much of a crazy stab you can even get on him either, right? Just like Panama, pretty much.
Oh yeah, basically. And like I could like, you know, convoy the army back and swing some things around, but it isn't great. And if Oot does want Aymara to fight me, then fighting Aymara isn't necessarily the best call for me.
Yeah.
Oot would probably be very happy about it, and at best, probably just try to take Aymara's dots for himself.
Yeah. My side, I think this is where the like after this turn and seeing this map is where the kind of inevitability hits of Japan being just completely unassailable. I think like throughout like the game there were definitely like times where I'd considered, okay, if I wanted to get out from under Tokugawa's thumb, what would that look like? And then I'd consider it, and usually I'd come to the understanding that, like, well, it doesn't really make sense. But here, now that Russia's gone, now that I'm not the only vassal in Asia, like if I were to jump out and do something bad, I guess you would put it, um, then you have someone you can cooperate with that would make full advantage of that. And so I stopped really. I don't know. I stopped really talking about the game as much, and I think I just start talking to you about like random things, or not talking to you much at all. I'm really trying to develop the like emotional aspect of this relationship, where you're just like getting to a point where you're like, you know what, I want Meepster to do well. I want to see him do well, and I have enough units to make sure that we can see that
Yeah,
through.
you know, I actually did pivot to that. So
Yeah, it works.
it ended up working. Yeah, I remember at a certain point, like I just realized, like, yo, I'm gonna get like, what am I at here? 25. So I need 7 more. I'm gonna get at least 3 of these Russian dots because I've agreed to give Athapaska 1. I feel like I can get like Hanoi, Hainan, and like Ayutthaya by the end of the game. So that's like 3. I'm getting these 2 here. I'm also gonna eventually take these 2 off the Dutch. So I feel like I've already been able to get to my VSCC without ever attacking you. And I also feel like even if I do, I can just keep working with you to like start convoying units into Ayutthaya and start attacking him from the bottom. I can start coming over the top here and attacking Mughals and stuff with you. So I was like, I'm just gonna consider these 4 units like my own units, and we're just gonna. This is just like the greater Tokugawa sphere here. Um,
Yeah.
I was considering you like my number 1 vassal. So on like the tier list of the
Woohoo.
3 I have, you were definitely number 1. Salt was the one I trusted the least, and my inevitable plan was I was just gonna swallow up all this, or
Did
I was gonna
Salt
swallow
actually
up
agree
my
to be a
half.
vassal?
What was that?
Did Salt actually agree to be a vassal?
Yeah, yeah. He
Hmm.
actually supported Ute in Dakota Badu on my ask. He said he didn't even want Ute in there, and I asked him to do that specifically, and then he did. So he did agree on one move, and then he built wrong. He told me he was building Makassar, and then he built Monado. So like he already kind of broke a bit of my trust, and obviously he screwed me over in the beginning of the game. So and he has a reputation of being like very stabby. So I was like, he's the one I'm gonna keep like the I don't know. I'm not gonna trust him very much, and I'm gonna cut him first out of all three of you. Russia, I'm obviously like backfilling. So
Yeah.
I'm like taking Russia's dots, but I'm also trying to get Russia into dots while he goes forward. But my inevitable plan is to like swallow up this whole area and then maybe keep Russia alive on like one or something. But you, I was actually planning to keep alive on at least four. And I remember thinking it would be like kind of funny if like since the beginning of the game you were so low, if we could get you into like the top 15 or like top fucking initially it was like just getting you into the top 15, and then once we got you there I was like, let's try and get you into the top 10.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, just
I
see
don't
how high I can get.
yeah, I just had so I remember I was just trying to find like problems and things at this point in the game because there was like nothing that was actually worrying me. Like I trusted you fully. I trusted Russia was like gonna keep going this way. That I didn't feel like anyone was gonna be able to do anything. Like the only threat was Atha and Ayu, or Atha and Ute going rogue and just like attacking me out of nowhere. So I kept like massive press up with them the whole game, and they gave me like just the best vibes. Whoops, where were we? They gave me really good vibes though, and I remember at a certain point in the game, I think it was no, I'll get to that when we get to it. But we talk about a bunch of stuff. But I'm very confident like they're not going to attack me at this point. Like they see a path. They're also like high up there themselves. And Atha has like enough dots in the area. Plus, like if we get him like a couple in Asia, he can get to VSCC. And then Ute is obviously not as set up as we want him to be down here yet. But I also feel like he can get there. So we're feeling good there. Um, yeah, I just had no problems. So I was like starting side goals of like trying to get my vassals in good spots and like trying to keep like them
Yeah.
all growing and stuff just because I had nothing else to worry about. But
Yeah. I mean, I didn't mind. I'll tell you that I did not mind.
yeah. North, obviously the plan is still that. They're setting up to attack Safavid here. I'm still like pretend working with Safavid that like we're trying to crush Russia and Mughals and stuff, and yeah. I'm also talking a bunch with Azeron, so this comes in this is very important later that I haven't mentioned at all. I reached out to Azeron in the very beginning of the game, and he like gave me a message back that he like wants to keep his cards close to his chest or something like that. So I kind of cut off communication with him until like much later. And then he reached out to me, I can't remember when he started going in against Ayu. He reached out to me about like attacking Ayu too, and it was the same turn I did. And ever since then, we were like keeping good conversation. Like Dutch moved into Indian Ocean at one point against his wishes, and he was like, "Okay, I eventually want to like coalition Dutch with you too." And he was interested in attacking Mapuche because Portugal and stuff. Him and Portugal were messing with Mapuche, or just Portugal was, but he wanted to start coming into Australia, so he asked for like Australia, and me and Ute all agreed to give him that. But eventually, we were planning to give like Ute Australia. Um, Again, we had this like five-way alliance where Portugal is trying to bring Azeron into the win, but the three of us don't even think Azeron has like the ability to get to 36. He was giving us some like plan that was like a 3 or 4 year plan where he was gonna go like +5 every year, and we were like, "There's no way that's gonna be happening." But in any sense, I was keeping good conversation with him, telling him I was eventually gonna, if he needed to get into the win, that I was gonna give him some of these dots in this area, if like we needed to throw him dots to get to the end, and I was well over the top. So he was like a person I was trying to keep a very good relationship with too. Yeah, Meepster.
Yeah. So unfortunately had to do defending here. But I was feeling pretty good about this move set. There was only one move set where I lost Chengdu here. Where Zinning attacked Chengdu and all the units on it supported it. And I mean, definitely I can tell you that I was paranoid about that happening. I think anytime there was any possibility for me to lose dots here, I was constantly like in the back of my mind thought it was going to happen, that all my enemies were collaborating against me, and then that's all they cared about. But I was pretty happy with this. Um, and I mean, I guess was this kind of a failure for Russia to get into Zinning planned? I mean, like as much as it can be.
From my part, or
Yeah, like were you like happy with you getting into Lanzo and Lanzo
yeah,
being
yeah.
forced
So
to
what?
retreat to Uyghur?
He originally I think suggested this move set first, and he's like, "This is like a crazy idea," and then he like suggested another one where he's like, "I like this one a little better," but I just stuck I stuck right on the first move set he said. I was like,
No,
"Oh, that one looks perfect." Like I love the idea of this move set. I
no kidding.
I was fine whether I think I'd rather him get into Zinning because I was fine working with him, but like my main idea was just like I want Lanzu here. If
Mm,
yeah, I just want the three dots I can get. Like, but and
mm,
if he doesn't get it, that's fine. If he does, it's better. But whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, he wanted to do something different where I can't remember exactly what it was. Where like I support him or something, and then he supports Ewan and I backfill Jian or something. But I didn't think that would work either for some reason. And I don't think it would have. So
Yeah.
I was happy to get the dot. And then anything else?
Um, I mean, no, it's a double support on a hold, unfortunately.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no, not too much, I guess. For
Mhm.
me, obviously, continue walking into there. Athapaska gets into Yenisei, and I think that convoy does not. No, it does work. Cause that. No, wait. What's that?
They
Oh,
are they are
yeah.
split.
Safavu was trying to get Ute to go into Karasi, but this convoy does go through. So now Athapaska has armies in Yenisei and Verk. That's nice for me. Nothing on Yakutsk, so this whole area is nice and clean. Continue walking down this way. More tactics against Ayu. He has the clean blow up on Fanrang no matter what I do, and he decides to go for it. So Fanrang gets popped. I am able to keep both of these dots though if he goes for the Fanrang pop, so I do. I do support into Luzon straight here to get more tempo on him for the following years. Ute gets a nice clean walk into Nakhon Sea. So this fleet has just wandered all the way to Nakhon Sea unopposed. And yeah.
No idea how they did
And
it,
they're
man.
all pretty safe.
Yeah,
Like,
so these are like oh, I guess no, this one does get compromised here because Ayu gets next to Kota. And I remember thinking it was kind of weird here because I felt like I wanted to defend these, but like I couldn't move my own fleets in to cover his centers without actually like risking taking
Taking
them
them.
myself. And he was kind of worried about me taking his stuff anyway, so like I didn't want to throw things into Sulusi and stuff. But yeah, Kota is easy for him to take. Zambo is in my hands. In the back of my head, I am keeping this in my mind as like a pocketed dot if I ever do want to go for a big stab, but like I'm not actually thinking of trying to stab Ute at any point. My mindset's still like as long as he doesn't attack me, I can win the game. So that's where my head's at. Um, yeah, get bounced out here. Obviously, if I would have bounced out Coral Sea, could have got Flores too. Didn't work. I probably could have done something else here. But I think I was still like trying to vassal Dutch or something. I don't know why I was doing that. I wanted to like take out Mapuche before I moved in on Dutch, but I probably should have like went to celibacy. Um, I guess I was worried about him. No, that wouldn't have worked either. Yeah, so that was just kind of stupid. Um, yeah. Ute actually does go for a nice stab on Mapuche here. Gets one
again,
army into Huarp while convoys the other one down. He's getting a core on Hawaii. He tells me that's for more armies to be convoyed down to South America. He also gets back into Hilo and gets into Tahuchi. So he gets a nice fucking 3 dot stab here on Mapuche. And Mapuche is kind of screwed at that point because Ajuran also gets one off him. I get one off of him. Guarani gets one off of him. So he's going down quite a bit. I guess he goes one off Guarani, so that's even. Yeah. I think that's it. Tasnica?
So I'd like the two of you to take a look at Austria for a moment.
Yeah.
So Austria just got stabbed by Sweden, is at war with France, is at war with Ottoman, and Poland is hard allied with Safavid.
Yeah.
Do you push Poland in this position?
I feel like I gotta do like deep analysis to ever give like a
Yeah,
good...
it's really hard to tell, honestly.
I think at the time though, when you were asking me, I remember thinking like Austria needs to kill France to win the game. Poland, like, I don't know. Again, Austria, I felt like is in a losing position here no matter what. Like 15 centers. Well, I even talked to Austria about this at one point because there's a draw vote that comes. I won't take over your time.
Oh, well, I mean, I did ask your guys' opinion on it, because in my opinion, at the time, Austria pushing an attack on me would just be crazy. Like, the obvious thing for me to do is to have Warsaw support hold Krakow, Krakow support hold Gdansk, which is extremely defensible unless Austria and Sweden work together. And again, Sweden just literally stabbed Austria. I'm thinking that Austria has no chance of winning. What little chance there is requires pushing hard into France and just getting as many units out into the Med and Western Europe as he possibly can. That he should not want to mess with me at all in this scenario is my read.
Yeah. I think Austria, like I haven't actually ever played in Europe in this game, so like this is all just me looking. But I feel like Austria, in my opinion, is like one of the worst countries because I feel like you gotta like win the whole continental battle and then still like push out into the sea on like one direction, and you have almost no cores to like build navies with and stuff. So you have to take the time to like core up coast and then push out. So it's like a very, very slow style to win and a very grindy style. And I feel like at this point in the game, like Austria's chances are already done. If you don't have like more fleets here or like all of France taken over, all of Poland or something.
Yeah. But he decides to gamble on Sweden. He goes for Krakow, and gets in because I clear up Warsaw for a build. Because I'm stabbing England this turn. I'm getting a bunch of builds. Oh, and also, yeah, on top of that, also pushing into Poland while expecting Poland to get a bunch of builds from other theaters. So, yep, he lucks out and gets Krakow. Sweden does not persist on the stab, convoys himself out of Bremen. Austria does still lose Targoviste and Constantinople, but performs this wild push on me and just barely gets away with it because I did not expect him to have any good reason to go for it whatsoever. I keep Novgorod, and one other thing happens. The thing that makes Austria's decisions make any sense. Because normally what would happen here is I would build a ton of armies and just smash Austria back through brute force. But Safavid makes probably the single move that has pissed me off most in any diplomacy game I have ever played. And he dots me for Bakchi, which we have spent the last 2 years pouring
Corey.
with the intent of putting a fleet there to decisively defeat Austria.
What did he say after you? What did he say?
Oh man. So what he says is that Austria had been pressing him nonstop, begging him to stab me, and that it was a really dumb decision that he immediately regretted and would spend the rest of the game trying to help me win. But let's look at the context of this. So again, we are like hard allied at this point, have been coordinating together all game, built up a ton of trust. All of that gets thrown away.
Yeah.
Because there's basically like 3 scenarios, right? There's 3 scenarios that are good for me moving forward in my relationship with Safavид. Before I see these moves. Scenario 1, we both do well and work together toward a mutual win. Right? Good for me. Scenario 2, it's not possible for both of us to win together. And Safavid stays allied with me and helps me win. Scenario 3, it's not possible for us to win together. Safavid is not willing to help me win, and I stab him so that if one of us can win, it's going to be me. The Bakchi dotting ruins all 3 of those scenarios. There's no way we're both winning the game at this point. Absolutely none. So scenario 1 is gone. Him helping me win could be on the table, but me not being able to build that fleet in Bakchi is just disastrous. Like, it is so bad for my ability to win in Europe. And as we can see from what's going on with Safavid elsewhere, Athapaska's convoying into Verk. He's under quite a bit of pressure in the east as well. Going to be pretty difficult for him to win as well. And then, of course, scenario 3 of only one of us can win and I stab him. Well, that's certainly not happening because I don't have a fleet in the Black Sea. So just completely destroys my Europe game. My only chance at this point is basically exactly what Safavid is saying, that he will do whatever he can to help me win because he doesn't have a chance of his own.
Yeah.
And I'm basically forced to double down on that there is nothing too much that I can ask of Safavid, because if he does not go out of his way to help me moving forward at this point, like, I am just screwed in Europe. Austria, Sweden is just full tilt. He has muted me. There is no press. He is basically just, I won't say throwing, because he's still in quite a strong position, but just fighting me heedless of how it affects his game. Austria is aware of that and taking full advantage of that and gambling on it continuing. Like, I need Safavid to just be full helping me here. Anything short of that, and Europe is screwed.
Makes sense.
So yeah, I'm extremely unhappy to say the least after this round, because in terms of like game-wide relationships, my relationship with Sweden might be among the worst in my 15-year-long diplomacy career. But in terms of singular moves, this Safavid dotting is is up there. It
Bad.
just is disastrous for our entire relationship and both of our positions. Like, the only world where it is good for Safavid is if he is just extremely confident that he can get a bunch of dots off of me, that, you know, he can hard ally with Austria and Sweden and get a win. But the thing is, he doesn't do that. This is a dot. You know, if he was like full stabbing me here and like taking Novgorod, like getting supported into Constantinople, like that would make so much more sense to me. Because then there's at least a clear strategy, a clear like, oh, okay, he is gambling it all on him winning because he doesn't think we can both win together.
Mm-hmm.
But to just dot me here is just, what are you thinking? Like,
I think he's probably thinking maybe it's just one dot. Maybe he won't be too mad. But I mean, considering you just cored it for 2 years.
Yeah, like, and now this is just gifting Austria the Black Sea, unless he plans on finishing the Treb Corps and putting a fleet of his own then. But even if that is completed on time, like,
it's a year later.
And on top of that, I'm not going to allow that. Like, a Safavid Black Sea fleet after a stab like this, like, there's no way that fleet is going to be intended to kill me. Like, you know, I death war Safavid before I allow that to happen, because if I can't trust him, that fleet kills me.
I think Safavid's probably just kind of like desperate here because they're falling behind like the top people here, and like losing a bit of tempo to Portugal and stuff, like losing a couple dots down here. Obviously, this is happening too. So I feel like they're just, you know, sometimes you just get greedy and you're like, fuck, I need to grow. There's a dot that's free to grow, like without much more further thought, like strategically than that. More just like the short term.
Which, you know, is a reason, but not a reason you want to hear from a game-long ally in a high-level competitive game.
Yeah, true.
Like, you know, you never want to hear, oh yeah, I was not thinking, I was just making impulsive short-term plans.
Yeah.
It's like, this is not amateur hour. That's not that's not an excuse that encourages me to want to work with you and invest in similar relationships moving forward. So yes, I'm going to be very unhappy about this one for a while.
Yeah, understandable.
Fair enough.
We'll say. West Africa. You may have heard me mention earlier during that rant that I was stabbing England. That does not apply to West Africa because I realize, correctly in my opinion, that stabbing England in West Africa would be insane. Portugal is clearly going to kill both of us. Probably, even if we continue working together, but definitely and swiftly if we fight. So I do not touch England whatsoever in West Africa. I stab him only in the Caribbean, and hope to continue having an understanding in West Africa despite the stab, just because the outcome, if we fight, is so incredibly obvious to me.
Yeah, you also have the army. Portugal's bringing this army down too.
Oh yeah. So
you get
that's
retreat into Timbuktu though.
I do retreat. Yeah, I do retreat into Timbuktu, but I do not go for it or any of his other dots during the actual move phase. I could have actually grabbed Niani here
Mhm.
But again, like I think that if me and England fight, we both die instantly. And so that's what I'm telling both him and myself. We'll see whether or not he agrees next year. But um, my firm opinion is that we have to work together in West Africa.
Yeah, for sure.
Meanwhile, in the Caribbean, I
Kill him.
successfully get the stab off on England. I take 1, 2, 3, 3 dots off of him, while simultaneously getting 2 units on Antigua for next year. And I have pressure on Baracoa and the Bahamas. And I walk into Kalina on top of that. While Aymara bounces himself in Panama, just in case, but holds true to, our understanding of, hey, I'm Ut's vassal, but I'm not going to stab you here. So the Caribbean goes great.
Yeah, really strong Caribbean.
Oh yeah. Oh, and I also have 3 cores there now, and they're all open.
Yeah, nice.
So I absolutely can drop 3 builds into the Caribbean next year, which is incredible.
Yeah, I remember thinking like if you had a strong Europe this game, you would have been such a strong contender. Like you probably would have been above me if you had a like a really strong Europe game because you would have been able to keep pumping even more units into these when like you've been able to accomplish this with like less units than dots on like both of these for like a good chunk of the time.
Oh yeah, no, my game has absolutely been held up by my colonies and the sheer amount of investment I put into them, because Europe has just been nonstop awfulness.
Mhm.
I got death ward by Russia and Sweden year 1. Then Austria stabbed me. Then Ottoman stabbed me. Then I killed Russia and Ottoman. But Austria and Sweden kept on stabbing me. And now Safavid has shown up and he's stabbing me too. Like,
Yeah, I do not know how you managed to not just completely collapse earlier.
Yeah.
just sheer dogged determination, and murderous rage that that has let me outlast 2 of the people who horribly betrayed me. We'll see whether I'm able to outlast a 3rd, or if or if this will be it.
Right. Go to a winner.
Yeah, so on my side, I had to like going into winter, I had to put a lot of thought into like what I was gonna build and what I was gonna disband here. Like honestly, I'd probably say I put a good 40 hours, maybe 40 hours of thinking in. I am very excited to see these 2 army disbands from Ayu. Unfortunately, the Mughals continue to be this wall of armies on the mountains that I can never dislodge. So, yeah, it's frustrating, as it always has been frustrating. But I mean, less armies in IU. We're happy to see it.
Yeah, you finally got the
Um,
opportunity to leave Nanking and stuff.
yes. Oh my
I
god.
remember I wanted to go here to hawk in with this army, but I was like, I gotta let him finally get out of
Yeah,
the box.
if you had told me you're walking in with Formosa, I would have cried out.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I didn't even know that
Yeah,
was it.
so these
Yeah.
Ayu disbands. He also disbands here. I remember, so at this point of the game, he pretty much like just trolls me and like gives everything else to everyone else and like dives only in on me, which I'm like, I kind of get. Like I screwed him over like 4 different times throughout the game. Like I made him believe like I was gonna work with him, and then like kept stabbing him over and over. And I feel like probably was the nail in the coffin. But like I never antagonized him, and I remember like right after I stabbed him the last time, like I tried to make a joke or something, and he responded very pissed off, and I just kind of like dropped. I just didn't respond to him. But like hearing like what you and Moogles and stuff went through, I'm very shocked. Like he decided to throw everything against me and not someone who like I feel like he had more personal
Uh, I
strife
mean,
with.
I think it's like kind of like it had all been burnt out by then.
Yeah,
Like he had personal strife with me, but it was um like it was the first 2 years he really didn't like, and after that he just kind of fucked me over repeatedly, and eventually I was just like fuck you. And
yeah.
like I don't think he was like whatever. I mean like yeah. Ming didn't do anything to me. Mughals, I mean, like again, when you're fighting a death war with someone for so long, it's kind of hard to stay as like viscerally mad, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think you being the like you were a more fresh wound, and maybe he was like kind of relying on you to like not attack him so that he can continue this war with Mughals.
I think
And
that's what
then
it was. Like he
yeah,
was relying on me, and I kind of just like shut all chances that he had of winning down when I attacked.
And he's also like gotten back, I guess is the right word. Like he's had numerous opportunities and instances of quote punishing, Ming and Mughal and working out that vengeance, working out that anger, having outlets for it. Whereas
yeah.
he hasn't really done all that much to you this game, I don't think. So like this is like one chance to like, um
Hit me
get some
back.
retaliate
Yeah.
get some retaliation against you while he has the ability to do so.
True.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was just one that I was like, "Wow, why is he coming after me? Like, what did I say?" But yeah, Mapuche gives up all of Oceania here, so that's very nice. It's just the two Azeron fleets, and then like me, and now I have full reign to start pushing into Dutch. I could also go into Azeron, but I've agreed if Ute wants this territory, he can get it. But he's more worried about going after South America, so he's also agreeing to let Azeron take that. And Azeron is now planning on like going after Dutch while I go after Dutch too. Um, I build this army here. I think I did want to go to Hokkien with it, but then like I relented and gave it to you and decided to like try to convoy it, but there weren't any convoys open. So I think if I was gonna let you into Hokkien, it would have been smarter for this to be a fleet this year and then build an army there next year once I have an actual convoy line opened up for spring. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think we talk about that after I build it. And like that's not the best build there.
Mhm.
Again, another army to convoy into Asia, and now I have a core finally. I've managed to get this whole area without a single core on the mainland, building an army. So this is like the first time I've actually built an army on the mainland. Russia disbands on these, keeps the two that I want, and I think what was our plan here? I can't remember, but I had these two. He can keep these two with an idea of a certain tactical move set in mind. We'll see what it is. And yeah, Ute, always important. Builds another army, more convoy opportunities to get into South American stuff. I tell him that I'm like pretty happy with a lot of like as long as I'm still sending stuff into Halmahera, I don't have too much to do with these two fleets. So I tell him like he can use them for convoys and stuff because I also want to keep him. I'm only 2 away. He's like 5 away. Athapaska's 7 away. So we need to get Athapaska the majority of the dots. And I think he's planning to take like a couple off Ute at a certain point. So like I'm agreeing to help Ute get some more dots into South America and stuff with the two of these fleets, I think. More and Bonin. Just I have so many builds. I just build in pretty much everything except for Kyoto. So yeah.
How many cores do you have at this point?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So billion and 7 of the 8 cores.
Okay, so yeah. So double your start. Yeah, just getting cores down is so helpful for regionals in this stage of the game.
For sure. I also have them in really nice spots. Like I said, at the time when I was coring these, I didn't like having the tempo loss, but down the game, like these two are so nice to have just to be able to pump stuff out. And this one's also very nice too. It's kind of late to have, but I do like having the option there. And then it's also good if Athapaska ever attacks me, like I have an ability to build stuff here immediately. Plus, I can convoy stuff over at the same turn. So now I can
Yeah.
start walking 2 armies to the left every time.
Yeah, I find that there's a lot of strategy in coring. It's really easy to do really poorly, but if you do it well, it's incredible. And I think every core you've made this game has been used multiple times already.
Mm.
And we've still got some game to go.
Yeah, these ones are all very well done. You?
Yeah, so I dropped 3
Oh,
armies in Europe. And taking a quick look at Safed at the moment, you'll notice that they're putting down 3 units. Safavid actually had 4 builds this turn, but the 4th one was because of a fall retreat disband.
Mm-hmm.
And so he forgot
Ooh.
that he had 4 builds and only put down 3. So on top of dotting me,
he didn't even use
and
the
all of
dot.
that, he then proceeds to waive the build.
Oh.
Needless to say, this does not reduce the amount that I am livid at him.
Oh, I love Aqua, but oh god.
Because either explanation is terrible, right? Like either he didn't actually need the build and waived it for later, in which case, dotting me is or he actually made a mistake, which again, if you're going to screw over your game-long ally in a high-level game, having I screwed up and did incompetent things is not what you want to hear.
Yeah, cold comfort.
But yes, so Safavid waves a build. I dropped 3 in Europe. Austria does not build any fleets. He drops 2 more armies. So, like, at this stage in the game, I'm kind of both mad and not mad at Austria. I'm mad at him because he's doing incredibly annoying stuff and screwing me over time and time again. I'm not mad at him because although a lot of his plays are absolutely insane, in my opinion,
They work.
They're also working.
Yeah.
And I can respect that. Like, Savavid death warring me here and just absolutely refusing to press me to cooperate in the slightest for both now but also most of the game is pretty nuts and is never something that like a player should count on for their strategy. But that is what's happening. Austria is identifying that and taking advantage of it. Similarly, the way Safavit is interacting with me is absolutely awful, in my opinion, for Safavit. But it is great for Austria. Like, incredible, potentially game-winning moves for Austria. And Austria is taking advantage of that too. So, like, the strategy depends on other people making wild decisions, but they are making those decisions, and so it works.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the only thing,
and also to give some credit to Austria, he does put in an absolute ton of press toward getting people to do absolutely crazy things. So, if you can consistently pull that off, taking huge gambles makes a lot more sense. And props to that unusual skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, in a theater that I actually enjoy, so not Africa. Africa, I have no builds. Portugal's putting more. It's bad.
Yeah.
Caribbean, I dropped 3 fleets, which pretty satisfying getting to build 3 Caribbean fleets as Poland.
Mm-hmm. It's a crazy position.
Oh yeah, no. This is the part of the game wherever I just get absolutely furious over my other theaters. I just go to the Caribbean, take a vacation, be like, the part of the world where things make sense,
Yeah.
and all is right. England wisely disbands Antigua because it's completely surrounded by my fleets. And Spain removes his last fleet. He still has an army in Carib, which I'm fairly certain he keeps for the sole purpose of trolling me.
Yeah, he even removed
Because
one in
He takes Barcelona off the board, but leaves Kareem.
oh no, that's just if the game objective is not winning or having dots or points, but just trolling Poland, mission successful.
Well,
Game objective
Tasnica,
accomplished. But
did you consider not trying to steal Caracas from him?
yes, the integral Spanish dot of Caracas, which 100% belongs to them by the sheer factor that they can force it in year one if they hard commit to it. I mean, I'm pretty sure London can be forced too if people commit enough to it. But
yeah, London's clearly a French
I'm curious
dot.
for the next game where the Dutch claim London as a as an inherently Dutch dot.
When I play Dutch, I'll definitely make that pitch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But hey, Spain's being true to himself. He wants to send a message that he's mad. Message received.
Yeah.
Repeatedly.
Yeah. It's worth mentioning at this point. I remember I kind of counted you out for like a while. Like I remember thinking the main blockers. I remember thinking Portugal will make it, and the main blockers are like going to be Safavid, Sweden, Azerbaijan, and Austria. And then like you had this really crazy turn, and were able to like blow up your Caribbean position so much. And I'm like, damn man, like Tasnica, who I've been working with, is now like a blocker who I'm gonna have to try and cut out somehow because like we're trying to win with just us. So I kind of like flipped my like my opinion on like what I need to have happen here, because I remember you were trying to get me to like not get Ute to attack you for a while, and I was always trying to like convince him not to. But I remember at this point I was like, damn dude, like now Tasnica needs to be cut. But the problem is that like if you get cut, then these three who are also the other three blockers are immediately going to become bigger blockers and even harder for us to cut any one of them. And I was like, this is like such a weird problem where like if you get bigger, all of the four blockers are literally in the same area and you will all grow off each other. So if any of you start getting any weaker, like the others are just going to become bigger contenders that we can't cut. We have pressure on like a bit of pressure on Sweden, like not a huge amount, but I think they're planning on like putting a bit later. We have like a bit of pressure on Safavid, but we have like no way to cut Austria. So like Austria killing you is also bad, but like you growing is bad. Every situation we were looking at here is like terrible. Like the only thing that would have been good is if you four sit here and like support hold and like nothing, no one moves at all while we, the four of us, continue growing. Oops.
Yeah, I mean, eternal stalemate or one of us decisively winning and just impunitying with all of you are really the only ways out of that dilemma.
Yeah, which didn't really seem realistic, right? Like you were all, if one of you die, like the others just become too strong to even get cut either. So it's, or like they can't kill each other either. Like Safavid and Sweden are never really going to be able to kill each other. Like Safavid and Austria aren't, right?
Yeah, obviously what I was counting on was to just become too difficult to cut out that I just get led into the impunity. But the Bakchi dot and Portugal just being so incredibly strong in Africa really hindered that. Like if I was like at like 30 now, instead of 26, I think I would have a much better like angle on just being like, hey guys, just let me join you. I can get another 12 dots. We'll all win together.
Yeah.
But I've just been struggling so much in Africa and Europe that I'm not quite there.
Yeah, just in that awkward spot, right? Like the four of I gotta say Austria not at this point. Austria does blow up a bit and like become a blocker. I don't even think I was considering him a blocker at this point, so that's not even right. But I was worried he would become one if you died. But yeah, the main thing was just trying to pass this kind of annoying block here. Like it's just such a awkward spot where you're hard to cut, but you're hard to get over the top too.
I think you kind of need Safavid to collapse here, because Safavid is the hardest for the rest of us to exploit.
Mm-hmm. That was a major plan, right? That's why we're at convoying armies here. My long-term goal is to shove Russia into like Yarkand and then start slamming in through Yarkand myself and start like pouring out through Safavid's territory. But like that's still gonna take a bit. And then I wanna Athapaska to get into like Ob and stuff and get into Turkmenistan and start coming down that way. So that was like kind of our long-term vision there.
Yeah, and I'm seeing all this happening right now, and basically my conversations with Safid are basically like, hey, yeah, like, they're all coming in on you. And Safavid's like, yeah, I know. I have no chance of winning. You deserve to win. I'm going to help you, do everything I can to help you win. So at this point, like, I am asking the world of Safavid. I'm asking for Bakhchi back. I'm asking for Moscow to be open so that Novgorod can retreat there. Like, there is nothing too much I can ask of him, because literally the way I win the game at this point is for Safavid to willingly collapse and put me into a position where it's easier to impunity with me than to cut me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like,
you'd be
that is my
super hard
only
for us
out.
to cut to. Like you and Austria are kind of impossible. You has like a bit of pressure he could put on you, but again, I feel like you actually outnumber him in fleets here, right?
Oh yeah, I do. And
Yeah.
it would actually be easier if things go well enough for me elsewhere. It would be easier for Oud to help me get an extra few dots and impunity
Yeah.
than it would to cut me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically the strategy I'm going all in on at this point, because the moment I lost Bakhchisarai and like couldn't like brute force my way to a better Euro position, like I need Safavid to not strictly throw to me, but basically collapse away from me instead of collapse toward me.
Yeah, makes sense.